time has come, this is a cricketing emergency. Hear this call to arms for every cricket revolutionary. Take up your bats and stumps for the test match insurgency. At first they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. They threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket. It's not about the winning, it's about how many rules you break. Even in cricket commentary, this is the best advice to take. Pick guerrilla cricket, it's the finest choice you'll ever make. There's so much more to cricket than rev counters and a slice of cake. At first they tried to sanitize us and clean up our act, but people like it filthy, and we know that for a fact. Fidel Castro, Lenny Pasco, Carlos the Jackal, Umar Akmal, Mahatma Gandhi, Grant and Andy, Brendan Behan, Austin Ian, guerrilla cricket. Stick with us, cause you know we're not the kind of thing that you see on the TV and the radio. So vive la revolution. First they tried to buy us, but we would not be bought. Okay, we were, but then we ran away, and we will not be caught. Would not give up the ghost when they left us all for dead. They decapitated us, but we just grew another head. Chairman Mao, Jamie Howe, Ho Chi Minh, Asif Din, Václav Havel, Graham Saville, No Surrender, Percy Fender, Che Guevara, Sangakkara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre, Darrell Hare, Vladimir Lenin, O'Brien Kevin, guerrilla cricket.
We're down to 4 days. That ought to be enough for Australia to bowl England out twice. And Australia have made the bold choice of putting England into bat. We'll have to wait for Jofra Archer's test debut. Or given that he's batting at number 9, maybe not, might be in before lunch. But enough of English pessimism, because we are here at Lord's for day 1 of the second test match. And of course we should remember that it is Ruth Strauss Foundation Day, and I already have the details for this. Everyone's wearing red apart from me and Tony. Grubby has got his beautiful red t-shirt on. I don't have anything that's red, so unfortunately I can't. Owen Morgan is there in red. Andrew Strauss is there in red. It looks like his sons are there in red as well.
Paul Sterling was behind him.
And Paul Sterling was behind him in red,
Indeed.
which is absolutely wonderful. Now, if you want to make a donation, you go, if it's £5, I think you text Ruth5 to 70507. So if you're in this country, please get on to that. Good morning, good afternoon, good dawn, good dusk, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Guerrilla Cricket as the Strausses Junior ring the bell at Lord's to signal 5 minutes before play gets underway. As I said, Australia have won the toss and put England into bat, and there is just the 2 changes to the England lineup. Archer comes in, of course, for Anderson, and Jack Leach for Moeen Ali. Those were well publicised. Josh Hazlewood comes in for the rested after 1 test, James Pattinson. Alongside me, cat-sitting Hendo, we have Paul Grubby Howarth.
Hello everyone, and the sense of anticipation that we felt yesterday morning is finally going to be sated, isn't it? Because we are going to get some play.
We so nearly got play, didn't we? But as I predicted, as soon as the covers were off and everyone was about to come out for the toss, the heavens opened again.
It was a right old tease yesterday, wasn't it?
It really was. Tony Bishop 1 is on my left.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. How do you see this going? Australia winning the toss. Have they made the right decision in putting England into bat? Are we going to see England bowled out in a session for the 4th time since 2016?
I think it won't be easy, but I think get through the first hour and it looks a pretty decent deck, to be honest. We saw earlier on a sort of a side-by-side shot on the TV of the strip for the Ireland game and this one, and it was extraordinary, the difference. I mean, Ireland, you could barely tell the strip apart from the rest of the outfield, whereas here it looks a beautiful colour. I think you've got to think about the weather forecast, and today is broadly speaking okay, tomorrow not so good.
Yeah.
So if you're going to bat, today's probably the day to do it.
So you think Australia made a slight
Well,
mistake?
I think, and I know Grubby thinks this because we were frantically in agreement in the green room.
Like frantic agreement.
We're very rare, but no, we both felt that win the toss and bat was the way to go. Joe Root, surprisingly, did concede that he would have bowled too, but whether that was just a bit of double bluff, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it betrays a certain caution about the respective batting lineups. Both captains, I think, are a little worried about their respective top threes, and therefore perhaps by default both of them, at least if you go by what Root has said, he would have made the same decision. But I think, as you said there, Tony, I think the right thing to do on this pitch is to bat first. The weather looks good there today, high cloud, not exactly bright sunshine, but probably as bright as it's going to be for the next 48 hours. We've got more cloud and rain forecast tomorrow, so I am hoping from an England perspective that it's a good toss to lose, and I know that Shane Warne, no less a cricket brain than Shane Warne, agrees with me. So he
did say that. I mean, it's going to be a very stiff examination for Burns and of course for Jason Roy, but they're test openers, and if you're test openers, you've got to face those examinations.
Are they test openers in name only?
Well,
really? I mean, okay, you've got to say
the
Rory
proof
Burns,
is very much in the pudding we're about to consume. I think
you've got to say Rory Burns got 100. Does getting 100 in Test cricket make you a Test opener? I mean, if you think of all those players that have come in and got hundreds but haven't really gone on to establish a place, I would have thought, if you look back on your career at the end of it and you maybe haven't quite achieved what you wanted to achieve, but you can still look back and say, I've got a Test century. That's a pretty good thing to have.
Absolutely. The one thing that Burns did do post the Ireland game, he looked dreadfully out of touch, didn't he, really?
Yeah.
As he went back to Neil Stewart, brother of Alec, and his old coach who he's had since he was 6 years old. He got himself right, whatever that was, that got him back into a good frame of mind. And he did play and miss an extraordinary number of times in that innings, 37 times.
Is that right?
I think it was absolutely ridiculous. 37 or 38 times. And anyway, what he did show was a huge amount of resolve and character and technique, and just a good temperament for being a Test match opener, which is certainly a part of the battle, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the temperament is well, more than half the battle, really, isn't it? I mean, when I look at someone like Sam Curran, who had not been named in this team, Joe Denley was rumoured to be dropped yesterday, but he's kept his place in the side. I saw Mike Selvey really giving it to Sam Curran. Doesn't seem to rate him as a Test player at all. And I think, no, Selv, you're wrong, because he's got the temperament. He's a big match player.
Well, and you watch him, and you know him, so I go along. Just a final thought, and then we'll obviously get into the cricket.
Yeah.
Lords, we always say Lords looks a picture. It absolutely does. Today, resplendent in red. It looks quite magnificent.
Yeah.
I am positively buzzing for this, whichever way it goes.
Now that'll just be the coffee. Could be that. No, it was quite nice actually to see everyone coming out wearing the red caps, and I was hoping they were going to keep that for the whole game, but seemingly they're not.
The baggy reds.
The baggy reds have been dispensed with for now. The baggy green is back aloft at the heads of the Australian fielders, and we should jingle people up. We'll come to your tweets very shortly. I'm sure lots of people are with us.
They are.
But first of all, we should jingle up the protagonists.
There is a man. A certain man. A man whose grace and handsome face are known across the land. You know his name. It's Mr. Burns. He loves a smoke, enjoys a joke. Why, he's worth 10 times what he earns.
He's Mr. Burns.
I'm Mr. Burns. He's Monty Burns.
Mr. Burns.
To friends he's known as Monty, but to you it's Mr. Burns. Burns.
I was saying Burns.
Boo earns. Anyway, Is he going to be facing? I don't think he is going to be facing the first ball. But the first ball is going to be bowled. I'm putting Grubby under pressure here to quickly move from one cart to another, because it is this man to bowl from the pavilion end.
Paceman Pat, and his baggy green cap. Early in the morning, just before the warm-up, he has to pull up with a dodgy back.
Trick Cummins is going to open with 4 slips, a cover point, a mid-off, a mid-wicket, of course, for Rory Burns, a mid-on and a long leg. It's Burns then to receive the first ball in this delayed second test. Cummins is in, bowls to him, and he defends a straight, good length delivery. Back to the bowler, and there is no run.
Shall I give you England's other opener?
Why not?
The non-striking end at the moment?
Indeed.
Duckworth Lewis loves you. The clouds part for you. Nothing stands in your way when you're a Roy.
Yeah, it was quite bright first thing this morning in London. It's clouded over a little bit. Quite a strong wind as well, as Cummins approaches once more into the left-handed Burns, who comes forward confidently enough, plays backward as square, has the diving goat to thank for that, not running away for 4, and there is no run. Now, interestingly enough, yesterday, when there was all this talk, because there was so much time to fill, there was a little chat about how few England batsmen in this current team average over 40, and in fact, only one of them does. And they were talking about trying to go back and find England teams where only one player averaged over 40, and I think it was nigh on impossible. So that is the challenge for England. In comes Cummins, bowls another straight ball on a good length, defended by Burns, back to the bowler, and there is no run. What do you think of that?
What about some of those late 90s teams? Because I think Atherton's test average is under 40, isn't it?
Ultimately it was, but I think the same with Alex Stewart, but...
so there must be instances from back then.
We're talking about only one. Only one. You reckon?
Yeah.
Well, is Root presumably being the only one then?
Yeah,
because he's still at about 49 from
49.
45,
there we
49.
are.
Something like that, 49. He has been up above 50 at various points. Cummins again in from the pavilion end. Bowls, this time wider outside the off stump, trying to tempt Burns perhaps into a drive, but he leaves it. The numbers on the back of these shirts are in red, so that's good to see. I think they should have made the Australians wear the red cap. Put away the baggy green. I mean, that might have just extracted all their powers.
I think
baggy green.
They're following the convention of the Jane McGrath Foundation Day in Sydney, aren't they? Where they come on with their pink caps, and then as soon as play starts, they switch to their ordinary
shirt. All the shirts
baggies.
are bespoke, aren't they? They've got the
they are, yeah.
Logo on as well.
Yep.
Fortunately for NatWest, it's exactly the same colour as their logo.
Yes, indeed.
It is. Yeah,
the GPL is open as well, of course. Remember, £84 in the pot. Better ball outside the line of leg stump, just nibbling across Burns, but he's in behind it well and defends once more. 88.6 miles an hour, that particular delivery. Should also say hello to all you people out there on Crick Tracker, watching us on Facebook Live on Crick Tracker. We are delighted to have you with us. We're delighted that you're interested in the Ashes.
Ashkar Rajput and Nusrat Shah amongst several.
Brilliant.
The viewing several.
Brilliant to
hello
have you
to
along.
all.
And if you wish to make comments about us or the game or, I don't know, life itself, we're quite happy to read those out as long as they don't break our rules. We don't know what they are. Cummins bowls again outside the off stump, well outside the off stump. It goes through to the keeper. And that, I believe, is the end of a maiden over. It is indeed. Let us see who's joined us on the Twitter sphere.
What would be normally the first things you would ever say when you're reading tweets on the first morning of a test match, or a second morning indeed?
Messi Jez
You'd
with
say,
us.
well, Messi Jez is with us, and indeed he is. Australia win the toss, not what I think they should have done, he says. John Appleby's asking about tune-in. We know there's an issue, and the bear is on the case.
The bear is on the case.
John David Evans says, well, toss has taken place and teams announced. I really don't understand the England selection when it comes to Joe Denley over Sam Curran. Curran has so much more to offer and is proven at test level with the ability to spark a breakthrough. Sorry, but Denley is not test material. Well, that's pretty unequivocal from John David Evans.
Yeah, I think Denley's I think Denley has got something, but I just don't think it's going to come for him before he is jettisoned, I'm afraid. This probably is the last chance saloon for him. He has looked good when he's come out to bat, and then he's got out, much in the way of, as we were talking about, James Vince.
Yeah.
Anyway, opening the bowling from the nursery end is a man recalled to the Australia Test side. Had all sorts of injury problems, but he's back now, ready to fire. It is this man.
This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood. This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood.
First ball is obstructed by the bear because he's come to stand in and do something to the lights in the studio. It was outside the off stump. I think it was left alone by Roy.
He
had a
slashed
flat.
at
Did he have
it.
a flat?
He slashed at
He
it.
had a flat.
And it could have been out first ball.
He was
but
probably
wasn't.
trying to get rid of the bear in front of him. He's gone over the top of that, hasn't he, actually? It's rather faded as it's
not a good sign, is it?
lands in the gloves. Well, it wasn't a great ball, but you would like to get the pace of the pitch, wouldn't you, a little bit, before you aim a shot like that. Anyway, that perhaps betrays the nerves of the man. 3 slips and a very fine gully, I would say, as Hazelwood is in. Oh, and that's a beauty! That really is rising and ripping away from the right-hander. And no way that Jason Roy was going to get near that. What a stunning delivery that was. Really gorgeous.
That went away down the hill, didn't it, as well? Just got that extra little bit of help from the slope.
Yep, and just that little bit of extra bounce as well, which you would hope for as a new ball bowler. So England struggling to get underway here. The bear is going to come and obstruct my view once more. In comes Hazelwood, bowls to Roy. Roy has edged it. Yes, he's gone. Bye-bye, Jason Roy. He is not a test opener. I don't know how many times I have to say it. He has gone third ball, and England are none for one.
Fenced at it, didn't he?
He fenced it. It was a good ball again. It was
was a
pretty
good
much in
ball.
the same area as the previous delivery, which he couldn't get near. Well, they are going to have to drop him down to 4, or they're going to have to dispense with him altogether. I'm not absolutely convinced that he's a test player anyway. Anyway, he's gone at 11:07 a.m. and England are yet to score.
You don't need to be playing at any of those deliveries. It's the first over that you faced in a first morning of a test match. And much as they're good deliveries, I mean, Hazelwood started a little bit too wide, perhaps betraying his own nerves there. But he very quickly straightened up. He bowled an absolute jaffer that no one could play second ball.
Yeah.
And then third ball, he could have left it on length because he gets decent bounce, does Hazelwood. But as you say, he fenced at it and nicked it through, and he'll have to go and have a long, hard think.
He will. Dr. Leonie Hicks says, a varied day in the life of a medievalist coming to the end of annual leave. Jam making while listening to Gorilla Cricket.
Oh,
Morning all.
send
And
us
this
jam.
afternoon with a fellow medievalist as well. It doesn't say
You're a bit
doing
of a
what, I don't think.
medievalist, aren't you?
Well, we went down to Loxwood in Sussex a couple of weeks ago, where they host this medieval festival. There was jousting, there was battle reenactment, there was a woman who looked exactly like a witch, dressed up like a witch, who explained how to make something out of twine. My eldest made a ring out of copper. It was remarkable. So yeah, and lots of people dress up to go to it. It was quite weird.
Right now, England are represented earlier than they would want to be by the only batsman that's averaging over 40 in their batting lineup. It's this man.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a pict, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce
Quite quiet,
yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
We'll just get that sorted. So Root comes in. Oh dear. He's barely had time to come out, shake hands with dignitaries, and he's onto the back foot, and he's going to take a single. England are going to score a run. England are underway. And Joe Root, of course, the man averaging over 40, is the man to get it. He goes to 1. England go to 1 for 1. More tweets.
We know why Bear was tinkering around. Messi Jess said the top of the green screen is looking like a portal to another dimension. Arthur Shear says England all out by tea, Australia all out for 380 odd sometime tomorrow, England lose by an innings on Saturday afternoon. Prove me wrong.
Well, let's hope England can, because we want a test match, God's sake, don't we? We want a test match. We want a competitive match. I mean, it was competitive for 3 days at Edgbaston, but then after that it all rather fell away for England.
Messi Jez is saying transparent attempts at a reverse curse, Arthur, will almost certainly backfire.
Well, we can only hope. So Burns comes down to face Hazelwood for the first time. Let's see if he can get it to go away from the left-hander. Can he move it both ways off the seam? Burns crouches down, waits for him, and he's in, and he bowls, and he does make it nibble, but it's well played by Burns. Gets right in behind it, defends it into the onside, and there is no run.
Dave Wood says if Joe Denley is a Test match quality batsman, then Ravi Bopara was robbed of about 174 caps.
Well, Ravi Bopara, I mean,
class.
if you're talking about hundreds as a measure of a Test player, Ravi Bopara did get 3 Test hundreds. So maybe he was, I don't know, rejected too early.
Well, he was tried at number 3, wasn't he, 10 years ago
in
now?
Australia.
The 09 series,
Yeah.
and that sort of rather found him out.
Did a bit. Forward, a much fuller ball, and Burns is going to get his first run. That's good running between the wickets at least from England as the GOAT comes round to field. And that is the end of a successful return to Test cricket for Josh Hazelwood. He has 1 wicket for 2 runs. England are 2 for 1.
Slungo says, tune in, massive cock-wittery boo. But I'm not quite sure what the issue is. We've got, as I say, with Bear is on the case. Roger Melly says, hello, good morning, etc.
Bollocks.
As the usual, yes indeed. Alec Payton, hello Alec.
Hello.
Finally some
Hi,
cricket at Lords, and annoyingly I have to be at work today. Them are the breaks.
They are indeed.
Anthony Horton, evening all. I'm listening tonight from the UK Schmidt Telescope in central New South Wales.
Wow.
Got the Wi-Fi working just in time. He sent us a picture of it too. Looks magnificent.
Now, hang on, just a point I saw yesterday. Didn't it snow in New South Wales yesterday? Were there not pictures of kangaroos romping in the snow?
Oh, I did see those, but I didn't know where it was.
Yes, it was New South Wales. In comes Cummins to Burns, who gets again really well in behind it and defends it to the straightest mid-wicket. And there is no run. If you're just joining us, of course, this morning, remember that the GPL, the Gorilla Prediction League, is up and running. There is £84 in the pot. You can add to that by estimating how many runs you think will be scored in the day. That's the total aggregate. If 2 teams bat, you add those together. And that's not beyond the bounds of possibility with the way England are performing at the moment. So go to gorillacricket.com, 1R, 2 Ls. In comes Cummins again, bowls wide of the off stump this time through to Payne, and there is no run. Go to there, go to competitions. If you haven't already registered, register, make your guess, or more than one guess, £1 a time, and that adds to the pot that's already in there. If you get it on the nose at the end of the day, which adds to all the excitement as we wind down to the 98th over, you win all the money. All the money in the world, which is £84.
All the money in the GPL world.
And the Bear is here with some news. What is your news,
Is this
Bear?
the tune-in news? Oh,
He's got some bets apart from the GPL. Cummins in to bowl to Burns, and Burns is forward in defence. Up towards mid-off it goes, and there is no run. The run line apparently is this with betway.com/GC radio. That is where you get preferential odds. And you can bet on what they're saying that England will get under or over 277. Evens on 277, I'm told.
Yeah. I suspect if Hendo were having a bet, you might be going under 277.
I think I might be going under. Anyway, that's for you to decide. But of course, don't forget the GPL as well, the Gorilla Prediction League. Go to gorillacricket.com/competitions. In comes Cummins. Grubby's pointing at something, and I'll tell you what it is in a minute as he bowls him a bouncer. Not Grubby, but Burns, and he ducks under it very proficiently. Sorry, what was that?
No, sorry. I was just noticing that they've sort of reorganised the slips. Australia. They started with 4 slips, quite conventional. First, second, third, fourth. They've now moved one of those slips to a kind of gully position, and the 3 slips that remain in their cordon have spaced themselves out a bit more. And I wonder if they've seen something in either the pitch or Burns' technique that has made them do that. I don't know.
Well, we did see Alistair Cook was somewhere in the pavilion wearing his red jacket, and we have had a notification from Alan Ball. In comes Cummins again, bowls. Oh, now did he beat him
Alan
there
Ball?
outside the off stump? Not the Alan Ball that played football for England, because he had died.
Because he dared.
He no longer. But someone who is longer is Sir Alistair Cook, and he says, "Can someone please have a quiet word in Sir Alistair Cook's ear to tell him to pad up again?" Yeah, I think that'd probably be a very good idea, actually. bloody
He's
good
not
idea.
going to
says the
do
vet.
it, lads. There's no point. No point.
Well, I don't know.
wanging on about it.
He might.
He's not a man for turning.
I think he might. I think he's a man.
What makes you think that? What's
Well,
happened?
Because I think he likes standing ovations, and he had 13 of them at the Oval last year, and I think he'd like a few more.
Well, all of those will be immediately withdrawn if he comes back.
We are withdrawing our standing ovation. In comes Cummins down the leg side. Lovely shot from Burns. He clips it away. A lovely clean strike. He gets back, hurrying for a second. That's good work between the wickets. And England moved to 4 for 1. Those were the first runs off Cummins.
Blue String Park says, morning all. Hope everyone's in fine fettle. Our fettle's never been fine, our Blue String Park.
All the better for hearing from you.
He does point out, seem to be having an issue finding you on TuneIn.
Okay, we
we
understand there is a problem.
Yeah, so Armchair Cricket Podcast is also alerting that. There's a big picture saying there's no stream for some reason.
Well, shall we tell people? I mean, we should tell people.
Yeah, I think tweet out and say listen to us
Tweet out.
through the site,
Through the website.
or through Facebook Live, or YouTube, or one of those things.
Any of those things, you can get us there. Yeah, and as soon as we know we're back on TuneIn, we'll let you know if that's your preferred method of listening.
With the bonus, of course, if you do one of those latter methods of watching, you can see us.
Hey!
The other guy, I'll wait.
After this ball, Hazelwood bowls to Root, lets this one come to him, just calmly jabs it down into the slip cordon around about 4th slip.
The other guy says, morning one and all. Thank you all for bringing the game live to this corner of the world. Tell us where this corner of the world
Yes.
is, other guy. All the best for all the Agent J's present in the lineup today. 7 of them.
Oh, the Jays, as in Joe Root,
Oh,
Jack
indeed.
Leach,
Got it.
Jason Roy.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm afraid
Just
we lost one.
Butler.
Well, we lost one
J
J
has gone.
already.
Yeah.
One J has gone. It's like 10 green bottles, isn't it? 7 English cricketers sitting on a wall. Lovely ball from Hazelwood, which Root plays completely down the wrong line of. But it was a lovely little bit of movement off the seam. He's just letting the seam do the work. He's not running his fingers down the side of the ball there. He's just happy to let the seam and the slope do what it will. And that is quite a bit at the moment. Sun is weekly pushing its way through.
Once a week.
Once a week, yes, weekly. And Root has to settle down. There's some quite threatening cloud above Lords at the moment. I don't think it's going to drop its load upon the ground. Root comes forward. He's looking for a single, but he won't get one there as Lyon moves round stealthily at cover point, and there is no run.
Stealthily, I like stealthily. Drew Ramsey. Good morning from Edinburgh.
Good morning.
Hello.
Andy and Paddy listening from their stockroom. Come on, England. Well, welcome to you.
What is your stock?
Just picturing 2 men huddling together in a darkened stockroom.
Yeah,
No,
I thought
don't
they were up there
say
for the festival, not hiding in the back of a stockroom listening to us. But
Maybe that's
we're delighted that they are.
Maybe that's maybe that's a fringe performance hiding in the stockroom.
I bet it probably is, yes. It's getting rave reviews, don't
yes,
you know?
I
Yes.
think
Oh, have you
so.
seen
I've
the
had
stockroom production? It's absolutely marvellous.
Hazelwood, this one comes back into Root, who's on the back foot and is a little bit surprised by that, very watchful. Again, plays it down into the slips quite safely.
Messi Jez says, Jesus, that was predictable. Nicks
Yep.
off for bugger all should be a permanent entry for England or openers in the scorebook.
I think there should be an honours, a dishonours board at Lords for those who nick off for naught.
Slungo says, even by the lowest standards of 3-ball opening dugs, that was shit. Jason Roy.
Did he? Well, he only laid a bat on the third one, didn't he? And he'd be annoyed that he did lay a bat on that one.
He had a
Oh,
whoosh at
indeed.
the first one and played over the top of it. The second one, no one's going to play, and the third one he nicked off, so yeah.
Hazelwood in again to Root. Beautiful ball again. He's running it down the hill. Root is playing the original line. And I suppose that in a way it's safe enough as long as he doesn't go after it. Through it goes. There's no run. Oh,
That was probably
What a
even
delivery
better
that
than the
was.
ball that Jason Roy didn't nick.
Oh, it was. Chris the Choir says, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Seems that the Gorillas are still in better form than England's openers. Morning all. Good morning to you, Chris the Choir.
morning all, Chris Quiet. Now,
Hello,
Chris
Christy.
Quiet, can you re-DM me to give me your size of T-shirt and address, because we are now sending them out. We finally got around to it, and we need your address. I could search back, I suppose. Foolish pushed or attempted to push it up to mid-on, but it was a bit of a mixture of bat and pad to run rather slowly up there. That is the end of Hazelwood's over. A maiden. England are 4 for
I'm
1.
guessing a medium.
I think he said medium.
Yes, medium sounds right.
Arthur Shearer as well, of course.
I think he's in medium territory as
Is he
well.
in
but
medium?
Unless he's been tucking into too many
I
chips.
would say
since he
that
left us.
they are the size of the t-shirts does side on the small side.
Yeah,
yes,
I
what
found
they
that.
are. I mean,
I found that.
I had a
That sounds like men who have accidentally got an XXL and it
time
fits.
XXXXXXXL, and it still didn't fit. No, I'm only joking. But the extra larges are a little bit smaller than you might expect. Burns has 3, Root has 1, Roy has gone for a none, and
I said it's
not
gonna
literally,
be-
he's not
it's
gone
gonna
for
be
a
hard
none.
for a while.
It is going to be hard, and it is getting cloudier.
He's gone for a none.
He's gone for a none. Probably actually in need of a blue none.
That's a bad
He's
habit.
ripped off a wimple.
That's a bad habit. Yep.
Whee. Burns waits for Cummins, who's now round the wicket, and he bowls outside the off stump. Burns wisely leaves it.
Good bounce, Paddy.
Derek Willis. I know Roy is an aggressive batsman, but he does know how to play defensive shots, yes?
I don't know that he does, actually.
We're not sure.
He does. I think he does have I mean, I've said this before. I do think he's worth giving a couple of games to. I think he'll definitely play this game, and he'll definitely play the next one. And if there are 4 failures from now to the end of the third Test match, then he might have another look. But you've got to give him a bit of a chance.
You do, but there is a problem in the sense that he has to stay out there long enough to benefit from the chance. If he's getting out for naught every 3 balls, it's not really going to help his development.
No.
Cummins in to Burns, and Burns plays at this one as it goes away from him. Sharp intake of breath from Tim Payne behind the stumps as he gathers that one.
What I was going to say about Roy, or reiterate really, is that he does have the basis of quite a classical technique. He plays very well in the V. A lot of his shots look conventional, even the attacking ones, as he plays through the covers and through the onside. However, his when he's playing very defensively, and as he's demonstrated here, he can play away from his body, which he did there, played away and didn't even need to play it. Needs to be able to leave the ball better. But when you're England, you've picked him for a reason. You want him to be aggressive. Of course, he's got to stay out there, but I think you need to give him a little bit of a chance.
Cummins again, short ball, well played by Rory Burns, who sways out of the way, is also going down on one knee really to get out of the way of that one. Of course, Cummins got him with a really good ball in the second innings, didn't he, at Edgbaston? Not from round the wicket, it was over the wicket, but that was another good bouncer from him.
Simon Gear, our South African brother, says Joe Root scores and England have equalised 1-1 at Lords. So that was
very good.
3 runs ago.
Yes, indeed.
Very good, Simon, my brother.
Brother. Burns 3, Root has 1. The other thing is going to have to be decided about whether you continue to open with him. Cummins in again, bowls to Burns, and Burns allows this one to come off thick outside edge, goes straight to ground, ends up in the slips. Bancroft shakes his fingers as if he took a bit of an unpleasant knock, stopping that one.
Tim Everingham says, evening Gorillas, found you eventually, screw you, tune in. And it's great to have cricket again. I think this is a very defensive lineup from Australia, and I think this could be heading towards a draw. Bracket, inverted commas, Q wickets. Never mind, what do I know?
A defensive lineup? I'm not sure it's a defensive. Do you mean a defensive approach in putting England into bat?
Possibly,
I'm
or
sure what you
maybe
mean by
not
that.
playing Stark is...
Well, they didn't play Stark in the first
no,
test
they
and won
didn't,
pretty
it's
well. Cummins bowls again. He finds the outside edge this time, but once more well played by Burns. Softish hands down into the ground, and Bancroft once more doing his duty.
Gets a pat on his concrete head. we heard how hard his head was, didn't we, in the last tour, at the Ashes tour, when Johnny Bairstow went up and did that little headbutt introduction.
Sort of rebounded a long way.
Got a very hard head.
Very hard.
All my mates say so.
Indeed, very hard. So the score remains 4-1. If you're just joining us on Guerrilla Cricket this morning, welcome along. Welcome to those of you watching us, listening to us, commenting on things on Crick Tracker as well in India. Outside the off stump now, very late leave there from Burns, which draws a smile from Patrick Cummins. He shows off his wonderful pearly white teeth.
Yeah.
And that is the end of another maiden, 4-1.
Like Mr. Ed.
Indeed. David McMullen, hi Dave, says, for those who need an app, you are still available on Simple Radio, which luckily I still have installed from last time.
Simple Radio, okay, thank you for that.
Sounds appropriate.
From the last time, Tune In, Chat the Bed was his final end of that comment. Imagine, there's a fantastic picture of some Chelsea pensioners all going, well, I could do better than Jason Wright out there, look at that. Even if I am 96.
Yep.
And their uniforms tone in perfectly with the theme of today.
Don't they just? Bright
Yes,
red.
indeed. Here's Hazelwood to start his third over, bowling to Root. Root is forward. He's looking for a single. Burns responds, but is then halted by Root holding up his bat to say, no, stay there. And so he does. I saw a man walking down the end of my road all the way to South Wimbledon Station with an egg and bacon tie on this morning. I thought, I know where you're going, mate.
Glorious.
Yeah.
I know where you're going.
He's probably listening to us right now.
He probably is.
Imagine, by the way, and I know we don't want to talk about technical issues, but he does say that we're not the only ones that are quite hard to find on TuneIn, so it may be a TuneIn issue, not us.
Imagine
we
it's a
will
she.
keep you posted.
Imagine it's a she.
Oh, what, sorry?
Sally.
Imagine it's Sally.
Oh, yeah.
Hi,
Yep.
Sally.
Anyway, here comes Hazelwood. Full ball now. Root aims a drive, but horribly
is.
mistimes that one into the ground.
Ain't that just typical as well? You've had
Sally R56.
they've been bowling a little bit short, trying to produce some seam movement. Hazelwood in particular has been bowling with that kind of 45-degree seam and doing that very well. And then they just throw one up a bit fuller. I was wondering when that was going to happen, and it was there for the drive. And in normal circumstances, you'd expect Joe Root to caress that one through the covers, but because he's used to that diet of slightly short pitch and he's a bit wary outside off stump, he doesn't quite time it. That's typical.
That's right. Hazelwood again running in from the nursery end. Bowls to Root. Root goes back and angles it down once more into that slip cordon, or as Atif Nawaz would have you, the slip cauldron. Full of
Slip
witches.
cauldron.
Full of,
Still
full
love
of
that.
witches.
When shall we three meet again?
I was going to say that about us,
thunder,
given that we were
lightning,
sitting here 24
pouring
hours
rain.
ago wibbling about nothing at all.
Well, the hurly-burly's not going to be done for 4 more days, yeah?
So-
Who's got the eye of toad?
The eye of tone.
The eye of
That would be me. Me one
That
good
could be,
one.
maybe that's Manny's latest brew, Eye of Tone.
Oh, we're expecting Manny at some point today.
Come on,
never
the
know.
monster.
What depends when dog wants to go for a walk. Hazelwood in to Root. Root again plays down, and Usman Khawaja moves round at fourth slip to field.
The wonderfully named Strange Carrots
I love that.
has said, oh God, Jason Roy completely forgetting what colour ball he's playing with, perhaps. And the graphic image that accompanies Strange Carrots on Twitter is also rather extraordinary. I'll let you discover it on your own.
Maybe he thought it was a one-day game and we're only playing with the red ball because of the Ruth Strauss Foundation.
Yes.
I thought it was part of the overall livery.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Here comes Hazelwood again. Into Root. Root defends to the goat, who is now at backward point. And there is no run.
The goat should definitely grow a little chinny beard, shouldn't he?
Yeah, he should.
Talking of carrots and goats, I was feeding carrots to
hungry now.
alpacas earlier in the week.
Oh, nice.
How is Al?
He's very good. He's very good, actually. And one of the alpacas that I was feeding to was called Sinatra.
Oh, really?
Great name for an alpaca. If you've got one, if you have an
Sinatra
alpaca.
the alpaca.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's genius.
Did he
is
do it
great.
his way?
He did. I was looking to see if he had blue eyes. Wasn't sure. Couldn't get that close. Spat at me a couple of times. Outside the off stump, he lets this one come on to the outside edge, runs it down to third slip. A slightly dangerous shot to play when there's a number of people in the slips, I have to say. It's a bit of a one-day shot. Anyway, no run is the result, and that is the end of the over. Another maiden.
Did you make a specific trip out to find this alpaca, or did you just happen to pass one in the high street?
Well, you won't. The thing is, you can't just find alpacas on their own.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. no.
Alpacas like a pack. They like
Okay.
a pack of alpacas. No, so I went to stay in a little B&B.
Oh, nice.
It was absolutely lovely. Unfortunately, the weather was terrible, and so I didn't get to string myself up into a hammock between two trees, which I was looking forward to.
You were looking forward to stringing yourself up?
Well, in a hammock, in a way of speaking. TuneIn is having a worldwide issue. It is
It
not
is.
just
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
I am told by a piece of
And
paper.
Messi
that's
Jez has
come in.
confirmed that as well. Who's always our Johnny on the spot, our Messi on the spot,
Mossy on the spot.
Messi on the spot.
Here comes Cummins then, starting his fourth over. 3 slips in the gully. He's in, bowls to Burns. Angled slightly into his pads, and it comes off the thigh pad. In comes Travis Head to field from mid-wicket, and there is no run.
Yeah,
England seem to be stuck on 4 at the moment, don't they?
Well, I'd rather they were stuck and still 1 wicket down than 10 for 3.
True.
How
But
true those words are, Tone, spoken even today.
that still could happen.
Indeed. Ravi Nair says, so it's not personal to the Gorillas, Julian. Indeed, it's not. Arthur Shear says, yes, but Ravi Bopara was robbed of about 100 test caps. Okay, yeah, we're back on that conversation, which was a while ago, but yes, indeed.
Here is Cummins again, round the wicket to Burns, and Burns is forward. He's going to get a single here, so they're off the 4. the nervous singles that England are in, and they take one more. 5 for 1. Burns moves to 4 from 22 deliveries. Root will come up to face Cummins, I think, for the first time.
Blue String Parks was saying, bugger, no cricket commentary in the car for me today then, unless tune-in is sorted.
Oh, no.
You can try Simple Radio. That is a workable option, for
We
sure.
should tell him that in a tweet, though, shouldn't we? 'Cause
Yeah, tweet him back.
Bear
somebody.
or Knuckle, I'm sure, will get on the case for alternatives to the global tune-in meltdown. Maverick Land says, I'm listening via your website. Very odd, as tune-in has wiped pretty much all of my favourites as well.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is
Well,
a
there you go.
sadly
There you go.
common theme.
Let all your mates know that you can get us through our website. Who was that who just tweeted in? Tone?
That was Maverick Land.
Maverick. Mr. Maverick. There we are.
Cummins then to Root onto the back foot, the ball slightly back of a length, and again he just angles it down to the slip cordon. I'm not 100% convinced by that method of defence from Root. Yes, he's playing it late, which is good, but he's also playing it a little bit off the edge, almost deliberately, down into that slip area, and if he gets it slightly wrong, he gives them a catch.
Could take the shoulder of the bat and loop
Yeah.
up, couldn't it?
Yeah, I'm not
he is
convinced.
very deliberately sort of angling it down. He does play that shot quite well, but he's looking to score in his favourite area, particularly early in an innings.
Yeah, so if you're not going to play an attacking shot, is it worth playing that shot? Cummins in, he goes for the drive. He's worth playing that shot, it really is. There's nobody at extra cover, and that scorches across the earth in front of the grandstand for 4 runs. First of the morning! Now, when you see that, you just think, Rooty, spend more time at the crease.
Beautiful.
It's a wide half volley, to be fair. but-
Convert
Yeah.
from 5 to 10, from 10 to 20, and so on.
To 200 and
Yeah, 200
50.
odd. Yeah, that would be nice. But that was a beautiful shot. There is a big open space for him to play that into as well as it being a full half volley. So a man of his accomplishments should put those away. Here comes Cummins again, in from the pavilion end. Bowls another full ball, which he drives not quite as beautifully, but just as effectively. And that is a second boundary in a row.
It's me, says she. It's me, says she.
And suddenly Grubby is having to go into the jingle machine after a lot
That's almost like you've set a bowling machine up for the batsman to practice cover drives.
It is. What do they used to call it? They used to call it in my coaching days. They used to call it grooving the shot. And that is a glorious, glorious cover drive.
Yeah, Cummins will be dirty with himself, as the Aussies like to say, when he's bowling 2 wide half volleys, really.
I'm just wondering whether that was deliberate in a way, though, to see if he would do it again and perhaps make an error. This one comes back quite considerably, jags into his pad. Really had barely any chance to aim the bat at that at all, but it's probably going down the leg side. There is no appeal, and that is the end of the over. England have moved on to 13 for 1. Got an inside edge there.
I think we're due a change in the com box, aren't
we
we?
must be soon.
I
It's
think
gone
I might
half
be-
11.
I might be sliding sideways.
You are sliding
in that
sideways.
change.
Well, we'll wait till others. The message gets through to others and they approach us. Burns 4, Root 9, Roy gone for a duck. You could have written that, couldn't you, yesterday and perhaps even on Tuesday. Denley to come, Butler. So I don't understand Butler batting above Stokes. That's another thing I think is a little bit odd. Then we have Bairstow. Is it to keep Butler and Bairstow away from each other because they might be fighting over the gloves? I don't know what it is. I don't understand it. 13 for 1 as we look across to London. It's a grey London. It was a bright London this morning. It's gone greyer. Burns waits now for not Cummins but Hazelwood, and that one's a little bit closer to the off stump, but he leaves it with good judgment, and it goes through to Payne.
Chris the Choir says, my suspicions are confirmed. DM on the way. Size of T-shirt comes under Data Protection Act. I think you'll find. Oh, okay.
We'll just have to guess then, I suppose.
Roger Melly says, are bronze ducks still a thing? Haven't heard that term for years.
Bronze ducks?
Bronze
Oh, as in
ducks.
a third ball duck.
Yeah, it's in third, I guess.
Bronze duck.
Yeah, you can have that one.
Save Withybush Hospital. Chris Paul
Hello, Chris.
is with us as ever.
He's with the bushes.
He's Withybushes.
3 slips in the gully, backward point, mid-off, mid-wicket, mid-on, long leg, fairly square. In comes Hazelwood, bowls foolish to Burns, who just drops forward and defends.
And he says, does Chris Paul, anyway, Brexit, interim leaders and no deal aside, there is a cricket match on. Politics
There
has been
is.
so interesting this morning, I'd forgotten until now. Well, I'm glad you've remembered. Also forgotten, he says, I can spell. I wonder what you'd spelt wrong before. I won't check.
Okay.
I suspect it's interim, which became intermim.
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 Now I'm getting very excited because there's a pastry waiting for me in the green room.
Is there?
Oh, there is.
What have you got?
What is it?
Well,
Yeah.
it's just, a pano chocolate.
Oh, well,
The best.
Nothing wrong with
the
that.
greatest of all pastries.
Keep it simple.
The king of pastries.
The king of pastries. In comes Cummins. No, Hazelwood, defended again by Burns. Now, I've noticed that the first slip has gone wider than usual. We've seen this quite a bit now, haven't we? The first slip always used to be staggered behind the wicket-keeper and only, I don't know, a step or so away from him, but there seems to be a fashion now for putting your first slip wider, therefore spreading the extent.
This is what I was talking about a couple of
your,
overs ago. I think they
slip
started in more conventional fashion with the first slip quite tight to the wicketkeeper, but they appear to have spread out a bit. Perhaps they think that the pitch isn't quite as pacey as perhaps they would like.
Here is Hazelwood, wide of the off stump, left alone by Burns.
They're getting good carry through to the keeper, though. I will
Yeah,
give
very
them that,
decent.
these
Very decent.
opening bowlers for Australia.
Yep.
Elixir of Azazel says
Easy to
Roy
use,
faced the most number of balls in England's second innings in the last test. He deserves at least as many chances as Jennings.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mm,
Well,
well.
I do think he deserves a little run once you've selected a player to do a particular job.
But then you still have to look at this point as to whether you keep him as an opener. Do you keep him as an opener? I mean, is he going to be more successful at 4? I'm not saying he will be. You can still face the new ball at 4. Oh, now this comes back into Burns' big appeal from Hazelwood. It was almost a Broad-like appeal where he races down and then suddenly turns to the umpire expecting the finger to be raised. But as Grubby's saying, I think that was a little bit high. And Tim Payne is showing no inclination to refer it. And the DRS timer has elapsed. It's elapsed. It's
Another good ball, though.
very nice ball. That's gone in the air more than off the pitch. It's hit him well above the flap of the pad, the inner thigh of the back leg.
He'll be glad of his back leg thigh pad there, won't he?
indeed,
Otherwise
yes.
it'd have been right in the
That would've
fleshy
been a
bit.
sore one. Hazelwood again in to complete the over, bowls to Burns Fuller, and he turns it into the onside straight towards mid-wicket, and there is no run. The end of a maiden. England remain 13 for 1. We are going to have Tony Seidel sideways into the ball-by-ball chair, sidle into the ball-by-ball chair, and Grubby and I shall be taking a break.
And we've had quite a few of these in recent times, so I'll just play this jingle for you.
Swinging balls past the bad, hit your ass against the wall. If you can't hit the fucking thing, you'll never score at all. You'll never score at all.
We're just waiting for reinforcements to tip up, so I'll just give you a small summary of the morning thus far. It's 13 for 1. England have sort of wheezed their way to. Root's hit a couple of nice boundaries in recent times, but the opening bowlers have bowled very well for Australia, and Hazelwood it is who has the wicket of Roy for none. I'll pass you over to Tony B, who's in the central missionary, and here comes the bear and match.
Well, we are going to see Peter Potassium Banana Siddle. A man, best of 6 for 54.
Straight in to do something.
And he's straight in. He's going to be bowling is to Joe Root, is what he's going to be doing.
It's this man. Well, I don't know quite what I should do.
He's right arm over and in as slips go down. Slightly short, and Root cuts this away past point, and that's going to go all the way for 4. What a terrific shot. So the bear straight into jingling action. Yeah, that was short and sufficient width for Root to get up onto his toes and just really, perfect cut
I
shot.
want Rooty to make me fall in love with him again. I want him to get a massive score today, or at least a ton.
Well, he's certainly played some fluent, attractive offside strokes prior to your arrival, and indeed on your arrival. In comes Siddle again, worked off his legs this time by Root. That's back with a square leg. They'll take 1. They will think about coming back for 2, but they changed their mind, and probably wisely enough. 18 for 1 then, England.
Maybe Root should become an opener again.
Well, he as good as is in this
Yeah,
game.
well, exactly, but he almost always is. He certainly will be with bloody Jason Roy at the other end. I love Jason Roy in a white ball game, but give him to me in a test match, and he's a waste of space opening. I mean, that shot was absolutely awful. No need to play it. I mean, it was miles away from his body. It was miles over the off stump. It was miles outside the off stump. His eyes, he was pushing so far away from his body. I mean, it's just pointless. Just leave the fucking thing.
Well, also, you kind of rather knew what to expect early on, didn't you? And he didn't look equipped. 3 slips in a gully, go down. Worked off his legs also by Burns, nicely down to long leg. And it's going to go all the way for 4. Bit of a loose start, this from Peter Siddle. Yep, he strayed onto the left-hander's pads there, and I suppose it was probably waist height, and Burns played it quite delightfully, just steered it around the corner. There was a man at long leg, but it really went down to fine leg, and they couldn't get round in time.
Well,
so 22 for 1, England. Runs are starting to come, and they're coming off Peter Siddle. He's coming around the wicket to the left-hander now. Burns drops the bat on that. Siddle sprints as if to field off his own bowling, but finally leaves it to Gary the Goat.
Well, Warney was down, wasn't it? It was like 05 again. Apparently he was upset that the Aussies didn't bat after winning the toss.
Yeah,
I think could be a mistake. Could be a mistake.
As were Grubby and I. I should say, rather rudely, hadn't mentioned it so far, but on your tweets will be the wonderful Mash.
Yes, I'm here.
As ever, is sporting the hat under the headphones look. Not a bit more successfully than last time, which was a bit of a disaster, as I recall.
I'll leave the West Indies floppy hat for the Test series.
In comes Siddle again, right arm and up beautifully, high elbow, driven away, past point. That's going to go all the way for 4 more. Terrific shot by Rory Burns. 26 for 1, and the change of bowling for Australia has yielded quite a dramatic acceleration from England. That was more sort of almost sort of a defensive drive through point, but he executed it quite magnificently. Tim Payne is clapping his gloves together and trying to encourage his bowler, who has had a bit of a difficult start, to say the least. 13 off his first over so far. There's 1 ball left. He's around the wicket, and Burns just drops the bat on that. It's away to point, and there's no run. And to my right, although you've already heard him in action already, is the Bear.
Yeah.
Any news on our tune-in issues?
It does appear, if you're trying to listen to us on TuneIn, obviously you're not hearing this, but if you found us on the website and you prefer to listen to us on TuneIn normally, which is fine, it doesn't matter, as long as you're listening to us and enjoying it. It appears that there's loads of stations missing off TuneIn, and they're probably doing a maintenance bullshitty thing overnight, and their technology's failed, and therefore they've lost loads of stations. I've got a contact at TuneIn. We've been with them for 9 years now, I think, in various guises. So I do have actually an email and a contact at one of these uber bloody tech giants, so I can actually contact in person. So I sent him an email, but he's in New York. He won't be out. But I'm sure I'll get an email back today, and over tomorrow I'd imagine we'll be
Josh
back up later today.
Will be continuing. He's got 1 for 2, and that's bang in front. I think that's going to be given, and it is. And Root has gone now. Is he going to review? I've got to say, it kept low. It looked pretty plumb to me. I think he's turning and he's off, I think.
Rooty.
The second wicket has gone, and the Bears' wish is not going to be fulfilled.
Bloody hell.
Root chose not to review. That ball was full. It was straight. It trapped Root pretty much slap bang in front. Interestingly, it just didn't get up too much, did it?
When it keeps that low, you're going to be out.
I think it was only hitting the outside of the leg, but it hadn't given out.
It would have been umpire's call and had been given. Hazelwood was convinced.
Yeah, indeed. It's and now you've got Joe Denley coming in.
Well, indeed, it's always difficult that when the ball from we pretty much started, didn't it, on middle and off, I think, and just moved a shade up the hill as Hazelwood was bowling from that nursery end.
It was a good ball.
And it was a terrific delivery.
It was a very good ball.
It was a terrific delivery. And it's always telling, isn't it, I think, when the batsman, in this case Joe Root, goes to the non-striker, they have a quick conversation, and Root very quickly turned on his heels and walked. He clearly thought, well, that's a waste of a review, and I think he'd have been right.
I think he would have been right. I mean, it looked like it might have jagged a bit and done a bit too much, but
I don't think so.
But looking at it a second time, I think it was clipping the outside of the leg, and as you say, giving out the review would have been. We'd have kept the review, though. I think he'd have kept the review, because I don't think it was doing more.
Umpire's call, do you think?
I think it was umpire's call.
I don't think we're going to see. No.
No, they all show us. They always show us now these days, don't they?
Well, we'll certainly see as Joe Denley does come to the crease, and he's doing a spot of gardening. Test average of only 21, close to 22. He's 150 to his name, a best of 69, which of course he got in St Lucia this year.
Here we go.
We are going to have another pitched outside off. Impact was in line. Wickets was hitting square on the top of leg for the right-hander, and it couldn't have been more out, I don't think.
He's a good bowler, this Hazelwood. Anyway, the new man is this man.
In again, and Joe Denley nicely forward, actually.
I'm just waiting for
solidly behind that
bet weight update so I can get lump for Denley to be out before 10.
Oh fuck! You know what? I had a bet.
4-10 or under 10 or
under 10? Sorry,
under 10.
I think I had a bet on a fall of the second wicket being over 27.5.
Denley was nicely tucked in behind that. Hazelwood now has the extremely impressive figures of 2 for 2 of 4.2 overs. And he is bowling from that nursery end, number 38. Big red number 38 on his back. He turns. He's right arm over and in. And once again, Denley, no stranger to Lords, of course. Spent many years playing here. He's tucked in nicely behind that. And there's no run.
Just some tweets. So Ravi there and a few others are talking about tune in, but Bear has now given the update, so I won't go through those. Dan Liebke, if that's how you pronounce it, says, I'll definitely be listening to Gorilla at some point. I like to mix things up. I think that's in response to somebody else, though.
And someone had already actually replied saying, once you've listened to TMS, you'll come to Gorilla and not leave. Or worse to that effect, I think.
Well, Dan came on in the last Ashes over here.
In comes Hazelwood, and forward comes Denley again. So he's looking solid. Maybe he will not accede to Mash's prediction.
Well, I just put a bet down that he's not going to make a 50.
Can we ask the odds?
It was only 1 to 5, but it's,
1 to
it's
5
it's easy. It's easy money.
Okay.
Well, under 14.5, he's 5 to 4, which I think is a bit skinny.
Okay. Well, Hazelwood again. Well, Joe Denley started off with clearly a strong defensive mindset. 3 slips and a gully. I'm ready for Hazelwood, who is bowling terrifically, although he's straight onto leg this time, and Denley has stroked him away through mid-wicket. This should net him 2. They potentially might come back for 3. I think they probably will decide not to, and indeed they don't. So Denley's off and running. He's got another 9 runs to score to put Mash out of pocket.
I know,
though not by much.
So Ross McD just said, greetings from Korea once again. Argument for moving Roy down the order and dropping Denley. I think everyone wants that, don't they?
Well, let's wait and see.
I don't know if Roy should be in a test side, full stop, really. I don't know where you put him. I mean, you either put him at 6 or 7.
Well, England are 28 for 2. Hazelwood is in to Denley, who very correct and studied leave allows this through to Tim Payne. It's another terrific over, just the 2 runs from it, so it's doubled the runs off Hazelwood, mind you. He has 2 for 4.
Testy.
And we'll ask for any more tweets or messages.
Testy Test says, just bring back Alex Hales to open and Roy put to 4 or 5.
No, well, that's just as bad. Well, I think Hales is a little bit better than Roy at opening a test match.
The next question I think at the moment is, what will England consider a good performance at lunch? I said earlier on, not on air, but 2 wickets, highly likely. Any more than that, and it's Australia's morning.
Yeah, I'd go along with that.
Getting to lunchtime, 2 down would be acceptable, I think, from an England perspective. Rory Burns, he's looked pretty solid. His run rate's only 2.8 or so far, but nonetheless, he's looked pretty tight in his defence, and again he does there as he gets tucked right in behind that ball, and from Siddle, and there's no run. 28 for 2.
Burns has looked good. It's a shame Root's out. There's a lot of talk about Bairstow should be getting dropped from this side.
1884 was the first ever England-Australia game at Lords.
I think
England won that, by the way, by five wickets.
A good tester for me is which England players wouldn't I take in the awful West Indies team, and Denley's one of them.
Well, Siddle turns at the top of his mark again. He's in, and again Burns just very squarely and solidly pushes this back to Siddle on his follow through, and there's no run. A reminder, of course, that Australia won the toss, correctly called as heads by Tim Payne.
It's not about 7 in a row now, isn't it?
Yeah, he's doing pretty well, and he chose to put England in. Joe Root, when asked, said I would have bowled as well. Many of us weren't sure. We said, oh, I think it's a day to bat, particularly looking at tomorrow's weather. So it's one of those calls that could still go either way at the moment. As Siddle is in, and it's wide of the left-handed Burns' off stump, and it's left well alone and through to Tim Payne.
Some left says it's Independence Day holiday here in India, enjoying your commentary in Kolkata, where it's been where it's been raining since yesterday. You guys are really awesome.
Oh,
thank you very
that's
much.
Very kind, and you are most welcome.
We've got a few hellos on
Enjoy the holiday, of course.
YouTube as well. Prakash Jadhav, he's Indian, he says hello. And Sean Lynch says he's Australian, and he says hello.
Yeah, well, it's good ground for Australia. This is forward. Comes Burns, pushes this away to cover. Nathan Lyon, in his normal position at point, is moving away to his left to field, and Burns will take a single. England will move on to 29. It'll bring Joe Denley with a very large point to prove, and he's off and running confidently enough to his name. He's taking the guard against Siddle.
We were discussing it out there, doesn't he? He looks to have the time. He does have an array of shots.
He does. He's
but
got a lot going for him.
He just seems to get out. He's, yeah, as you mentioned, he's a bit like James Vint.
As he did at Middlesex, I recall so many times. He'd look beautiful as Siddle is in, and Denley is well in behind that. It's pushed straight to mid-on, and there's no run.
Mark Zip says, joining you from the endless US pre-clearance at Dublin Airport. For those for whom TMS is geo-blocked, there is always the fun. Guerrilla cricket with jingles and Noel Vaughan, iconoclastic guerrilla cricket.
Iconoclastic? Wow. Have we ever been described as iconoclastic before, Bear?
Maybe
in your living memory?
I think so.
Have we? Wow. Oh, we'll settle for that. Alim Dar stands with his hands behind his back. Siddle is past him now, and that's wrapped Denley on the pad, but it was high, and I think it was also going down leg. And Siddle, you just thought for a moment he was contemplating whether or not he was going to give that a full-throated how's that, but it was well above pad, hit him on the thigh, and I think Siddle decided not to go with that.
Dave Wood says, we're already doomed, but it's nice to see Root save the review for Johnny Bairstow.
I think he was smart. I think he did exactly the right thing. He walked down to Rory Burns. I think he instinctively knew he was toast, and as important a wicket as he is, and as much as the Bear was desperate for him to succeed, as many England fans will have been, the fact is he was plumb.
He was plumb. He was done by a good ball, and
therefore don't waste the review. And I think that was the right thing. Lords is looking magnificent. So many people in red in support of the Ruth Strauss Foundation, and that's fabulous to see. Hazelwood is going to be the new bowler. He's in, and it's left by Rory Burns through to Tim Payne outside the off stump. England remain on 29 for 2.
Adrian Lowe says this is looking grim, guys. Dave Sarah says Denley's going to make 100.
Yeah, I stand by the fact that if they've got through, they haven't quite got through the first hour yet. I said get through the first hour, and it does still look to me like a good batting track. Australia have bowled well. Hazelwood very, very much the pick of the bunch, because he has both the wickets to fall for just 4 runs. He's turning, and he's going to be in. Right arm over to Rory Burns, who works that off his legs through square leg, and they will take an easy single. So Joe Denley's going to get another chance to bed himself in, which he will be so desperate to do. 30 for 2 England.
This is the GPL is open. No one's entered yet. Pot's 84 quid, which isn't a bad pot. You know what to do.
Open till
lunch.
Open till lunchtime for test matches, isn't it? It's just so easy with test matches.
Absolutely.
The rules are so straightforward.
It's quite easy to win. It's a lot easier to win on a test match as well, to be fair.
Well, There was no runs yesterday, of course, as we all watched.
No one put on yesterday.
3 slips a gully, a slightly backward point, mid off, mid on, a mid wicket. As all that takes the edge and dropped just short of that 3rd slip, which is Cameron Bancroft. Did it carry?
No,
I
don't
didn't think it did. So it was a legitimate edge. No, and it dropped well short of Bancroft, who didn't really get a clean pair of hands on it, and it popped out again. So I think played that nicely, as Rory Burns has done. Rory Burns has a few have gone through to slips, but always on the bounce, as he's played with nice soft hands.
I've got a question after this ball.
Okay. This ball that will be delivered by Josh Hazelwood, and Denley once again excellently in behind it.
See, it's good having contacts at actual firms. I've had a contact, well, you know, rather than bloody bots and people on the end of an email.
Yes.
My man at TuneIn says current experience global outage, and our technical team is already at work on it. He's given me somewhere I can follow the status of updates.
These things happen to the best of them.
Indeed.
In the internet world. What was your question, Mash?
Check this. Every time I'm back on air, I have something brilliant for our listeners. After this ball, I'm going to drop it.
Oh, wow. Talk about the big build-up. There's Denley batting quite out of his crease there. Pulled, oh dear me. And he was looking to pull it to leg, and he top-edged it, and it went over those 3 slips. There isn't a third man. They all chase it as a pack. And Denley didn't run, actually, in the end, which I think he was so surprised. He did take
I think it's a leg bar. I think it pinged him.
Let's have a look.
No, I don't think there's any batting that at all.
It's not ball to helmet.
I think it was his helmet. Let's have a look. He looks to try and pull it.
Yeah, off his helmet.
Just took the top of his head. He didn't get bat on it, actually. It's a bit of a waft.
It was a terrible waft.
It was a shocking waft, and
shot.
it did catch him pretty square on.
Well,
and he basically flicked it like a man at the near post of the corner. He flicked it on over the 3 slips.
Well,
and, as ever.
Which reminds me of another piece of silverware for the Liverpool Massive.
We won't go into that.
Well done, Adrian.
But that shot is perfect timing for my question.
Yes, go for it.
Everyone's got their various years of cricket watching experience. Who is the most out of depth international Test cricketer you've ever seen in a top order? I'm not, and it's harsh because I'm using Denley as the prescript to this. Mine is West Indies had an opening batsman about 3-4 years ago called Rajendra Chandraker from Guyana. He averaged 24 in first-class cricket and was opening in Test matches for the West Indies, and was hopeless to the point where I thought I could open for the West Indies instead of him. So the most out of your depth international cricketer you've
one I
ever
can
seen.
think of actually is when back in the 90s when England were fucking useless. I remember we bought in, what was that, Gavin Hamilton?
I remember him.
He was
It's a Scottish guy.
He was fucking useless. Absolutely useless. Looked shit, looked like so out of his depth.
Gavin Hamilton, or indeed any of his family, if you are listening.
Sorry, mate. You're probably a good cricketer at club level, but you weren't a Test player.
We'd like
Same
to
as I'm
apologise.
not, you know. I mean,
I'm not sure what the criteria is for out of your depth. I mean, because we're basing it purely on what we saw, but players where you've seen them and you're offended that they've got to international cricket status.
Well, there are some players who do well under certain conditions and not under others. I mean, I'm not sure I would like to see Keaton Jennings batting here at Lord's. Whereas if he was on the subcontinent and on a drier, more turning pitch, I think I wouldn't be too upset at all. So often it's about the conditions that a batsman is placed into. I mean, conversely, who has come in and done incredibly well when you didn't expect him to?
Good point.
David Steele would always be high on my list for that.
Well, we've given our listeners plenty to get going on, and whilst we wait for Denley to get checked over for his horrendous waft, some tweets. Chris Paul says England do bat deep, but with Root gone, the Aussies are into the tail already. And Adrian Lowe says once you've gone Gorilla, you cannot turn back. Sumner says Roy looks like a tail ender at the top with the bat in his hand. Arthur Shire says England would swap their entire current top 6 for the West Indies' entire current top 6 in a heartbeat. looks Geoffrey Archer is at an option.
Do you know what? I think they will stick with Roy. And what Jason Roy needs more than anything else
some runs
is England to bowl first and
get a big score.
And to have a lower, to come in when England have got a chase, as it were, and are feeling on top. I think the pressure of am I moving at the end of this over, or do you want me to move now? I might as well.
What's going on?
I'll do this over, seeing as you're there on your own. 31 for 2. 31 for 2. It is going to be Josh Hazlewood, who's been very much indeed the pick of the bowlers this morning. He's going to be taking up the attack once again to Rory Burns. Tim Payne is directing operations, and I think he's sending his man at points, which inevitably is likely to be Nathan Lyon. It is. And he's sending him deeper. Actually, it's his square leg. And he's pushed him right back to the fence and slightly more central. So I wonder if they're thinking that they might be trying to tempt Burns into pulling in that direction. We shall see. Hazlewood is in, right arm over. And that one swings in actually to the left-handed Burns, who puts it straight back down the track to the bowler, and there's no run. Knackle is stood laptop.
That's the end of the over.
That's the end of the over.
iPad and cup of coffee in hand. Oh, don't you? What's that? What's
That's
that?
like MacBook Air.
You bought the sheath for your
The sheath.
for your laptop.
Knackle's got a Miami Vice top on.
He is. I was about to mention he's looking a bit Crockett and Tubbs there.
Where's Tubbs? Crockett, Tubbs.
31 for 2. Oh, actually, that was the end of that
Yeah,
over.
so
So
you're
we are
off.
going to have a change. 31 for 2 England. We will have a changeover right now.
Gorilla Cricket, bets of the day. Only gorillas get enhanced odds at Betway.
There you go. That was that. What happened to all the Betway jingles? Non-World Cup. There you go.
Bet your way with Gorilla Cricket. We've partnered with Betway to bring you daily special offers available only to Gorilla Cricket listeners. Sign up at betway.com/GC Radio and help to keep us on.
While all that was happening, we missed a delivery from Peter Siddle into the right-handed Joe Denley, who turned it away to square leg for a single.
Yeah. So what do we reckon so far, Knackle? Your thoughts on the day?
I think Josh Hazlewood has bowled superbly.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? He's the one. Actually, he is the one I almost fear him more than any other Australian bowler. I don't really fear Siddle because his pace isn't there. He bowls them good balls. You always feel his pace isn't quite up, so batsmen catch up with it. Hazlewood's put on pace over the last few years, and he's added himself. He's got up to the 140s, and he gets the ball to move off the seam in the air. He's a good bowler. That's played by Burns square on the offside, out to point. And it's fielded, and there ain't no run.
Well, with Hazlewood and Cummins, they've got two bowlers who can do a little bit of what Ryan Harris used to be able to do, which is be both the economical controlling bowler and the strike bowler.
Yeah, and with decent pace, exactly as you say.
And then you've got Siddle with his control and his ability to bowl long spells at the other end. And then you've got Nathan Lyon,
who proved he's a classy bowler in the last test. England a bit of trouble in this series. I don't know what the top 6 should be. Opening partnership. Well, I think Roy Burns has probably nailed down his place for the series now, just with a ton in the first test, and he's looked pretty good here, it has to be said. Roy looks complete opposite, as we expected. That's left alone outside the off stump by Burns. It's well wide, didn't need to play at it, and there ain't no run. Jim Birchall, our Kiwi umpire, got in touch with us this morning, and he was admonishing us for picking Roy. And as I said to him, everyone else, but the team management seemed to realise that he wasn't a test player. Which is a shame. Look, he's a good white ball player, but there should be nowhere near this test.
It's unusual, a situation where he was picked as an opener, but there was talk even before he got picked from the England camp that they see his long-term position as number 4.
Well, that may be why I never put him at bloody number 4 and find an opener. That's played into the offside, dropped into the offside, and Burns will get himself a single. Moves on to 15, then he's on 5. England 35 for 2. Only been 12.4 overs, and we're well into the second hour of the morning.
Yeah, a little bit of a delay while they sorted Joe Denley's helmet after he got smashed in the head by Josh Hazlewood. Walking down the pitch and trying to hook, which is brave.
Yeah, and he was nowhere near it.
Adrian Lowe wants to know, is it too early for We Are Doomed?
No,
Yes.
not well. Yes.
And Dave Wood says, crucial first hour, Claxon.
Yes. Well, we've done the first hour, 35 at 2. I think if we have 2 down at lunch, which is a long way off, as Denley plays that back down the track to Siddle, and there ain't no runs.
Strange Carrot says, nice to see there was no total waste of a review. Strangely, the sun came out here in Holland just at that precise moment that Root turned walked. How refreshing. Maybe when a batsman walks after only nicking one, I will see unicorns flying over rainbows.
Well, yeah, that might be true. That voice on my left, of course, is Nestle Boy.
Good afternoon,
Trouble
everybody.
on the trains this morning.
Actually, when I got there was no trouble.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's typical. That's like me getting speeding tickets when there's a 40-mile-an-hour sign and there's no roadworks.
Is it?
Yes.
Well, you were doing 80 at the time, though.
No, I was doing 47 at the time. Oh, that's aerially driven, but nicely driven. And well, actually timed square. The man at point is behind square, goes through the gap and races to the boundary. Denley gets himself a 4 and the score moves on to 39.
My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Roger Millie's with us.
Bollocks.
Most out-of-depth cricketer I've seen was Bryce McGann.
Oh, yeah.
Only
Bryce
played
McGain.
one test for Australia against South Africa, went wicketless for the match, got tonked all over the park and never played a test again.
Yeah.
Bryce McGain, Jared Kimber's favourite cricketer.
Yeah.
Oh, really? John Parry says, evening from Tokyo.
Evening Tokyo.
On cricketers out of their depth, Jason Gallian was looked absolutely at sea against the West Indies in the mid-90s, so of course he was far from the only one.
Yes, I was going to say, Windies mid-90s.
Walsh, Ambrose, and a rotating cast at the other end.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think most people feel, I don't know if it's out of depth, but out of something.
Scared.
Yeah, Jason Gallian captain Notts for a very long time.
It was not a bad bat actually in county cricket either.
No, very prolific at
there
that level.
There was a reason why he was called up to the test side. I mean,
we do have a change of bowling from the nursery end.
now, I would imagine there won't be a lot of turn on day one at Lord's.
Well, day
It
two.
was effectively day one because they didn't only play yesterday. And it would be incumbent on England, not to be stupid, but to get on top of Nathan Lyon. They've only got 3 seamers. They've got a decent field. They've got an umbrella. They've got a point, and that one's hit to a deep cover. Or a deep cover, he'd be on a ring in a 30-yard circle. And they've got a short cover, which is a bit straighter, and a wide mid-off. So he's pretty covered on the offside, which is what he wants, to the left-handed Burns. On the leg side, he's got short leg, mid-wicket, mid-on. There's a man down that long leg. That one's straightens a little. Good drift into the sort of middle and leg stump by Lyon. Straightens a bit. Defended onto the leg side.
Bowling from the nursery end, he's being asked to turn the ball up the hill, so
Yeah.
the slope will aid the drift.
It will, but that did straighten the smidgen. That one's too short though, and whipped square on the leg side into wide open spaces. Long leg will come down, I believe it's Siddle. Couldn't see from that distance. They will get 1.
Arthur Shear says, not a top order player, but the most out of their depth international was Grant Jones, whose keeping made Johnny Bairstow look like Les Amos.
That's a bit harsh. I think Geraint Jones took some very important catches in the 2005 Ashes.
I was going to say, he was in the 2005 team.
Yeah, scored a couple of tons as well. Wasn't a bad bat.
As Geraint Jones's batting got better, his keeping got worse.
Yeah, true. Lyon, edged, drops just short. Smith at slip, who gets it awkwardly on his finger. Looked like it hurt. I'm going to say, as an Englishman, I don't mind. I've come to kind of no, I can't say it. Can I say it?
You have to admire Steve Smith.
You have to admire Steve Smith, and when he gets talked to in an interview with Nas that I see endlessly on this bloody rolling rotation of stuff that goes on when it's wet, that's clipped into the leg side to mid wicket and there's no run. He seems quite an amiable person, as do a lot of the Australians, but they're Australians and it's cricket. I'm tormented.
I like watching him play. I like watching him bat.
I don't like watching him bat.
I do.
have to say, I appreciate that he's ugly as sin to watch the bat, but I mean you have to appreciate that his bloody mindedness and his talent. That's way down the leg side. By
great
Lyon.
take.
It was a good take by Payne, and there is no run. I didn't turn sharply or spit, just followed the line of the ball.
No, I enjoy watching him bat.
I enjoy watching him bat because I enjoy watching really good
I guess if it's not
sports
against,
people.
Yeah, if it's not against us. I mean, when he's doing it against, when he's doing it against India, I don't know. something that irritates me about him, and that's probably because you just can't get him out.
Probably. Anyway, do we have any tweets?
Let's have a look at the tweetosphere. Dave Wood, I could give you a shouldn't have batted for England 11. Tim Curtis, Mark Lathwell, Aftid Habib, Alan Wells, James Whittaker, Steve James, Chris Adams, Ian Ward, Joe Denley, Matthew Maynard, Darren Mandy. Some names there.
Darren Maddy was later recalled for England as a T20 specialist in the early days of T20 internationals.
That's true, yeah. Siddle over the wicket to Burns, who just plays that square down to short backward point, or gully, whichever you want to call it. And there is no run.
Andrew Jones says, I think Roy is opening due to the fact that pretty much every other county opener has had a chance and failed in the last few years.
Well, the one they're talking about is Dom Sibley, who's been scoring bucket loads of runs in this county championship season.
I don't really follow county cricket, but everyone says he should have a go, and I'm quite happy to have a look at him. I want someone who can stick there. Burns seems to be able to do it. That's decently defended on the offside. They think about a run. It's a little step forward, then another little one. A bit like fencing, and then he goes back to his crease, and there is no run.
Mark Zipp is joining us from the endless US pre-clearance at Dublin Airport.
Oh, yeah. That's a good way of doing it.
The longest line I've been in since Disneyland. So desperate, I'm trying to find my happy place with you buggers.
That's a good way of doing it, though, because if you're flying from Dublin to America, you can do US pre-clearance in Dublin, which means you don't get delayed on the other end. You're at the airport anyway, you might as well.
What's clearance of your luggage? Sort of
No, basically immigration.
Oh, right. So you can just walk out of the airport?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds quite good. Defended up to mid-off by Burns, and there is no run.
I paid £7 to do the sort of fast-track security when I went from Stansted to Spain recently. And it is much better having just nobody there, and you just wander through and do your bit and then get out, and you look back and there's masses of
Although
people.
Sometimes, particularly on a low-cost carrier, everyone has paid for the fast track, which kind of negates the point of it because it's so cheap when you're flying with Ryanair or EasyJet.
Indeed. £7 they charged me.
Siddle in, bowled wide of the off stump, and Burns, it's a square drive at it, gets an under edge, goes out to cover when Nathan Lyon fields, and there ain't no run.
Didn't know Mark Zipp was in Dublin.
Yeah, he's been in West Island for quite a while.
He does spend quite a lot of time in Cork, Mark Zipp, on the West Coast.
You should have come and seen us.
Cameron Bancroft is fielding at third slip with his helmet still on.
He is as well. Maybe he's comfortable.
Well, he was
short leg.
Yeah, he was at short leg, and I guess they're trying not to waste time.
That's left alone outside the off stump by Burns, too wide by Siddle, and there is no run. I presume Zipp's just going back to Woodstock, isn't it? Are they having a 50? Are they trying again to have a 50?
I don't know. I think it's all gone tits up again.
Guy went bankrupt, didn't he?
I'm not sure what's going on.
All
with
the
that.
investors pulled out or something.
Yeah, it's the same guy who did the original one.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look a lot different. I saw a picture of him the other day. I was like, bloody hell, mate.
A bit older.
Yeah, but he doesn't look that... Not as old as you imagine.
Probably made enough money from the original to keep him going. Oh, aerial driven!
Oh, has that been dropped?
Was that been dropped? I think it has been. That's terrible. Kawaja, who's at a fourth slip gully.
Yeah, they're all tapping him.
It was driven aerially by Burns. That's a big let-off. That should have been snapped if that was in the air. I don't think it went into the ground. It certainly looked like he was chasing it away from his body. It was too far away from his body. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's a big drop. Straight at him.
That's a sitter at this level.
That's a sitter at this level, as Knackle says. Full-blooded drive, big outside edge. It wasn't underneath his eye line, playing away from his body, and just hit it aerially. Should have been snapped, but it wasn't. It's a drop. Yay! A bit of luck for England today, finally.
Right through his hands into his chest.
Way up in the sky, little darling. And if it falls, I'll pick it up. Just pick it up, mate.
Yeah, just pick it up, mate. You dropped it. The next ball, Denley faces up to Nathan Lyon, who starts his next over. Second over, went for one in his first. And first ball is defended back down the track, and there is no run. Lyon is in again. Floats that up, driven back to Lyon once again, and there is no run.
Michael Kawaja is usually a very good fielder in the gully, but he just got that all wrong. his hands were hard and he was grasping at it.
And it was quite intelligent ball by Siddle actually as well, defended by Denley out to cover, and there's no run. It was pushed him across a little bit wider, and it seemed to go off the seam and just moved enough to make it go that little bit further wider, which caught the edge.
It looked as though Khawaja didn't realise how much time he had.
Yeah, he kind of snapped at it, didn't he? That's a nice shot by Denley. Gets right forward and drives Lyon through the covers. Not enough pace to take it to the boundary. It's chased back, and now he'll get back for 2, moving himself into double figures. Denley, 11. Mash, 5-1 on. I think you just won your bet, mate.
Swing it both ways says, hello, Gorilla Cricket. England doomed, didn't it?
Not yet. Still got 8 wickets in hand. Middle order that can bat. Driven back down the track. Can't beat Lyon on his follow through. Fielded, and there is no run. 1 ball left in the over.
Adrian Lowe tells us England failures. Dave Podmore is my contribution.
Dave Podmore.
I think that's a fictional one.
He used to write for The Guardian, and he was a fictional writer for The Guardian. He used to swear a lot. Quite liked him. Oh, that's got to be out, surely.
It's turning too much, isn't it?
You think? I don't know. That's on the front foot. It's turned into the pad.
They're having a talk.
It's hit him in front of middle and off or off.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I review that. I think that's kept a little bit low. And Denley's playing around his front pad. It's hit him in front of middle and off. I think that's crashing into leg stump. Maybe he's quite a long way forward, so maybe it's just grazing
Pitched
leg
quite
stump.
a lot. It's pitched significantly outside off stump, so it's turning a lot to begin with. Joel Wilson is the third umpire who will...
Well, at least he has technology this test.
Who will
Let's
have
have a
a
look
look.
again. So it turns in. Maybe you're right, actually. It does turn quite a long way. Could be going down leg. He's right across his stump. It's still hit him in front of middle and stump. He has got a good stride forward. There is no inside edge. He's missed it by a
It's
mile.
turned significantly
It
from
has
line
turned
and up the
significantly.
hill too.
Yeah,
I think that's missing, isn't it?
I think that's the best clipping leg stump actually. Having been knocked out, it could be safe.
It's hit him on middle.
It's
missing.
It is missing.
Right.
Well done. Hendo will be crowing in the green room because I got one totally spectacularly wrong. But my first instinct was, oh God, he's missed that, and it's crashing into the stumps.
Yeah,
I'd have
good,
appealed.
yeah, good call by Gaffney.
It was indeed, and that means Australia lose their first review. They've only got 1 left.
Arthur Shears says at this stage English opening selection is really just in a holding pattern until Phil Salt is ready.
Yeah,
Phil Salt of Glamorgan, who has been selected in the T20 squad for England, although didn't play.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've tried a lot of openers.
It's true they'd possibly go back to a couple. Sam
Well,
Robson's been scoring runs
precisely,
recently.
you know, I mean, they would have learnt something, you'd hope.
Brian001 says, yep, yay, found your feed working on your Safa Friends feed while we're in Brisbane. Is England still pinning their slim hopes on the informed Englishman Archer?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of that. That was left alone outside the off-stump civil starts his 5th
Bowling
over.
wasn't really the problem in the last test.
No, it isn't. The bowling isn't the problem. I've always said this. I want to see... everyone says that Archer can bat pretty well as well, and I haven't seen any of that because I just saw him slam it down a load of long-arm throats.
Yeah, averages 30 in first-class cricket.
Exactly. So that'd be interesting to see. He won't have to slog out from the beginning. He'll have a chance to play himself in. I want to see that. Left alone by Burns, close to his off stump, but it's a good lead.
He's a stroke player, but he's not a slogger.
No.
That hit from ball one thing that, for example, Liam Plunkett can do really well is not something Jofra Archer is particularly
good.
It's not a strength of his.
Which is what I'm hoping to see in exactly this. I'd love to see him.
More from Mark Zip. He's been a few weeks in West Cork. Now back to the records. You'll be hearing from me during the big Labour Day yard sale. And yes, Michael Lang is a real character. The 50th, this is Woodstock, he was promoting, did go tits up.
Burns leaves that again outside of the stump, still sort of probing that stump line. Burns has nothing to do with it, which is good. And that's through the keeper and there's no run.
Arthur Shear says, England have got a middle order that can bat. Why didn't they pick him then?
Well, there's a lot of talk about Bairstow should have a break as well, be dropped from the side. If you want to keep Roy on the side and drop him down the order, maybe that's the thing to do. Drop Bairstow, put Roy down there.
Do you buy anything into this? They're all
still got to find an
exhausted after
opening.
the World Cup?
I do think there's a bit of that. As we said in the last test, Siddle is in, by the way, and striven by Burns. Good diving stop by Matthew Wade, who comes across from a pretty wide mid-off. He's pretty close as well, but he gets his paw on the ball and there's no run.
It must have an effect.
I hate the idea of losing the Ashes to the Australians at home is a really painful one, but still, I would say, getting the monkey off our back of winning a World Cup this year, I would take that and lose the Ashes.
Controversial.
It is controversial.
Probably correct.
It's probably correct. You know, we have.
Although the correct is, why not both?
Well, why not both? Ideally, both. But if we do lose the Ashes, I'll at least have the warmth of the World Cup finally. That's dropped out into the offside. Wade comes up from mid off the field, but allows Burns to get through for a single.
It also is like it feels like there's been so many Ashes series recently.
Well, they were. I mean, this is nice that we haven't had one since Christmas before last, and we won't have another away one for 2.5 years. So
yeah, when they had in 2013 had 2 Ashes in 6 months, and then immediately in 2015 she had 3 Ashes series within 18 months.
Yeah,
of each
exactly.
Other. It got a bit silly.
It is. It's nice it's come around again. It has been a little while.
James Humberson loves the fact we use the Sydney Con dropped catch jingle, mate.
Yeah. It's a nice one. Siddle in, squared up a little bit was Denley, but it's raced past third slip down towards the third man boundary. Is it going to get there? It is going to get there. 4 runs, love those ones. 47 for 2. Root dismissals. There's always outside off stump. There's a lot of them outside off stump. Funny that. And
well, actually, what they're showing is that before 2016, there's a lot outside off stump. Since 2016, there's a lot more LBWs.
Yeah. Well, people have realised he plays deep in his crease and he plays across his
See this
pad.
on screen now. His average versus balls hitting the stumps from 2012 to 2015 was 68.66. It's now 15.28 since then.
Okay, so
let's
have a look at his difference.
He's setting up a little bit more.
Offside.
You see, yes, he's not setting up outside leg stump. He's setting up on middle and leg.
In 2015, now he's setting off from virtually off stump, trying to work everything to leg side. That's which is a problem because he's always playing around his front pad. That's just defended to short leg as Lyon starts his next over.
Also, he's hanging on the back foot a little bit more.
Yeah, I think he hangs on the back foot too much.
You and Hender have one mind on that.
I think he needs to get his game going forward again a little bit. Cuts that off the stumps, this Burns. It's a bit short by Lyon and allows him to rock back, but can't beat the man at cover and there's no run.
I mean, as ever with these things, Virat Kohli's found this as well, and Steve Smith to a lesser extent. You can't cover the head and the toes at the same time. The blanket's always too short.
Yeah, and gets forward this time. Inside edgy, but down into the ground to short leg, and there's no run.
So what I'll bet you'll find is that Root is scoring a lot more fluently through the offside now.
Yeah.
And you see his square drives are beautiful, and he plays off the back foot through the offside really well. But obviously,
he is getting caught a lot LBW at the moment. More often than not, he's out LBW. I think from recent innings, I can think. That's cut out to point, and there is no run by Burns.
We just saw it on screen. His LBW percentage has gone up by 50% from before 2016 to after 2016.
I'd rather he was getting. I'd rather he was getting caught out slip than LBW trying to work around his pads. That's a good shot. Sweep, powerfully slog swept by Burns. Forward of mid-wicket, races away to the mid-wicket boundary. It's 4 runs.
That went like a tracer bullet.
It did. He looked. I shouldn't say this, but he looked in good nick.
Yeah,
that was absolutely nailed by Rory Burns.
Was
Not too far from
actually,
short mid-wicket.
It wasn't that far from short mid-wicket. It was aerial, went through his. I think it even went through his hands.
That would have been an unbelievable
catch. Would have been a good
catch.
catch. It went like a tracer bullet. Lyon in again. Oh, plays away from his body, pushes it out to the deeper of the covers. And there is no run.
Adrian Lowe sent us a picture of Dave Podmore. Looks a bit like Grubby. Not Grubby, Messi.
Dave Podmore was a fictional county cricketer character that some comedian created. He had a Radio 4 series for a little while.
Yeah, he always used to write about cricket in The Guardian.
Takeshi Hara says, when are you guys planning on winning the World Cup?
Sorry?
When are you guys planning on winning the World Cup?
Yes, England won the World Cup by 0 runs twice.
Yeah. Well, I count back on 4s, may I add.
Yeah,
God damn it. The important thing.
Yeah.
Is that Sven? No.
No, it is not Sven-Göran Eriksson. It does look a little bit like his former assistant Tord Grip.
Ah, Tord Grip. That's
going back a while.
Yeah.
We do have a change of bowling from the pavilion end. The man who's taken the 2 wickets to fall this morning is back into the attack. We'll give him a jingle after this ball.
He's in. First ball is to Denley, and it's defended out to cover. There ain't no run.
This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood. This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood.
Excellent from Hazelwood on his return to fitness and to the Australian Test team. 2 for 5 in his first spell of 6 overs.
First was a gimme. Second one was a bloody good ball. The first one should have been a wicket. It was a shit shot by Jason Roy.
It was also a good ball.
Wasn't that great. It was that ball, which was left alone by Denley, which is on about 5th stump line outside his off stump, probably going about a foot over the top of the stumps as well. Shouldn't have been playing at that ball that he got out to.
Oh no, he absolutely shouldn't have been, but it did move and bounce, and it was a decent delivery.
Joe Denley's not the sort of person who you'd imagine having tattoos, but I just noticed one on the inside of his right arm. Which doesn't sort of, I don't know, just doesn't look like a tattoo kind of guy.
He doesn't look like a tattoos kind of guy. He looks
He
pretty.
has got
I
one.
mean, it doesn't look like a lot stresses him out. I imagine he's been through quite a lot, and he was picked early in his career to play for England, and then just disappeared into the wilderness. He's defended that one back down the track to mid-on.
Or Kent, as it's also known.
Yeah, and Kent, which he's done quite well, you know. And I imagine for him, it's you know, it's a hiding to nothing really. He probably didn't expect to ever get picked for England again at his age. Got put back in and thinks, well, you know, if it comes off, it comes off. So not a lot of pressure on him, to be fair.
Rather than a hiding to nothing, it's a free shot. Although it's unfortunate for him. I said yesterday in our brief wibble that we did in lieu of actual cricket that I feel a little bit sorry for him because he's a sacrificial cover for about 3 or 4 different positions.
Well, yes. As that one is guided by him nicely through quite a packed slip cover and slip gully and back to point cauldron. Nathan Lyon chases him down from point and he'll get back for 2.
TV umpire says never managed to understand what made Darren Pattinson a Test player. Yeah.
Well, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Matthew Hoggard they dropped for him. The story was that Matthew Hoggard was too drunk.
Okay. That's why I became a wicketkeeper at Fagan Boys for a little while, because our wicketkeeper was always pissed.
Hazelwood in bowls and just dropped into the offside. Wide enough of cover. But Danny feels they get through for a single, and they do. They scoot through for 1. They move on to 54 for 2, England, in the 19th over.
Although Fagan Boys Sunday seconds not quite the same level as what Matthew Hoggard played at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anthony Condon's with us. Says not to be that guy good at cricket, but to have the consolation of winning the World Cup final. Wouldn't you have had to win the World Cup final?
Hey.
If possessing the trophy is all that matters, then you always have the Ashes, with a little wink.
Yes, also true.
Well, no, in the history books it will go down that England won the World Cup, and we got that monkey off our back. The team was designed over 4 years. They got a man in to do that. That's around about chest high on the leg side. Burns just drops it into the leg side behind square, and they get through for a single.
Slungo says, I'm liking this Burns-Denley partnership. I think Mr. Burns has found his Smithers. Well, we'll see.
Ironically, Joe Denley looks quite a lot more like Mr. Burns than Rory Burns does.
You wonder if they'll just, you know, there's a lot of pressure on Root to go number 3.
Not least from us.
Not least from us. Well, I don't mind. No, I'm of the opposite. I think if he feels happier at 4, we should bat at 4. Actually, there are many mental things in sport, and if he's got a mental block about being at 3 at the moment because of what's above him, and he feels more comfortable at 4, and he's our best batsman, I would let him bat at 4. The problem is 3 does become a sacrificial lamb, but 3 is a sacrificial lamb for number 2, who's generally not batted either. So. That's played into the offside, cut by Burns out to the deep of the covers again, and there is no run.
Still going on about this World Cup thing.
Yep.
It's going to run and run, probably till the
course
next
it is.
World Cup.
Yeah.
Well, they did win
Where
the
we'll
World
be
Cup.
going along as holders. Wahey! Oh, inside edge onto pad. That's kind of half a peel, I think, but seemed to be a big snick.
Significant
No
bounce
run.
from Nathan Lyon.
Yeah.
England won the World Cup, but didn't win the World Cup final, which is fair enough. That's how the tournament regulations were set.
Yep.
Not sure if the monkey's off the back so much as hanging by its paws off an arse cheek.
No, it's off our bat. We're winners.
Who
we
are the
hold
World Cup winners 2019?
England.
There you go.
That does seem to squat a little off the pitch. I think Burns was expected to get a bit higher, goes deep in his crease and forces it out to cover.
I'd love to see the release out of the hand, because the one that bounced a little bit and took the inside edge, you could see Lyon was bowling deliberately with a huge amount of overspin. I wonder if he slightly undercut that one a little bit.
Quite possibly. Forward again, Burns defends nicely out to the covers and there's no run.
I love watching Nathan Lyon bowl. So good. He's so
Yeah,
clever.
he is, he
He's
does.
got such control over his release point, over his flight, over the drift and dip.
We haven't changed it ended over Grubby. So that's down the track comes Burns, clips that nicely into the leg side. It's not got enough to take it to the boundary. And they will get back for an easy 2 though. Is that Cummins or is
Hazelwood.
that Hazelwood down at long leg comes around to field. Okay, me and Nestlers are moving out. And Knackle is going to come in here, I think.
Grubby's going to come into the ball by ball chair.
The missionary position. There's Burns. He's on 24 of 68. He started pretty well and swept that again beautifully. Is that out this time?
No, it's a good stop.
It's a good stop. He hit that one into the ground. The last one did go through the hands of head, but it was hit like a tracer bullet. That was hit like a tracer bullet, but this time he got his hands on it and it wasn't in the air. So it's no run. Good shot for none. We're going to have a little switcheroo. I shall see you later.
Yeah, and while we're doing that, we'll have a little bit of a word on how you can support the show.
Alternative cricket commentary. Bringing you laughs, bringing you jingles, bringing you joy. We are Gorillas. We need your... Patreon.com/Gorilla Cricket.
We'll need even more money if Mash keeps stepping on the headphones.
England are 57 for 2. Recovering from 26 for 2 when Joe Root got out. These two looking quite positive at the crease. Denley has 18, Burns 24. Hazelwood's going to continue his excellent spell this morning. He has 2 for 9, both wickets to fall. He's in now to Denley, who defends it from the crease back up towards mid-off, and there is no run. Mash has slipped into the tweet seat. Hello there, Mash. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm a bit nervous because Denley's actually looking all right, and my bet's looking in jeopardy.
Oh no, you've gone under what for him?
Under 50.
Oh well, plenty of time to go on that one yet. Knackle has remained in the jingle chair. Hello, Knackle.
How you doing?
Very good, thank you. All the better to be here.
Yeah,
between
delighted
you.
to have actual cricket.
It's nice, isn't it? It's nice. 3 slips in place, all quite close together, and then a gully, a man at point, square leg, shortish mid-off. Some of the field here there. It's Hazelwood comes a bit wider of the crease this time. Once more it's defended from the crease by Denley, who says no with both upturned palm and bat. Score remains 57 for 2, so a decent little partnership just developing here, and they'll be looking to get through unscathed to lunch. And one of my mates, Baz, on our little cricket WhatsApp said 70 odd for 2 at lunch. As an England fan, you'd bite your hand off.
Sure, that's a pretty regulation day session of Test cricket, I think.
Would be good, and obviously
not that you get those in England anymore.
No, it's microwave cricket all the way usually. There's a mid-wicket in place, a regular mid-on, also a deep backward square as the rest of the field. This is driven very pleasantly by Denley through extra cover, beats the man at that shortish mid-off and runs all the way to the fence for one of these.
Joe Denley is a confounding cricketer, and I think probably for possibly his whole career, every nice shot he plays will be described with a slight upturn in the voice, as though, I thought he was rubbish.
Yeah, there is a bit of that, yeah. He can look $1 million, and he's looked as good as anyone, really, when in his short stays at the crease so far this summer, and then he finds a way of getting out. Hazelwood is into him again, it's outside the off stump, and it's allowed to pass through to Tim Payne. 61 for 2.
If England were a club team, he'd win the Most Improved award at the end of the season.
4 years running.
Yes.
Well, in this brief innings so far, he appears to be playing his natural game. He's going along at a good A good lick, 22 or 32.
Yep.
So he's not being inhibited, so to speak. But that's why we think he'll probably get himself out.
Given his previous.
Mark Thorne says, why is it that England can't produce decent batters anymore? Have conditions changed in county cricket?
How long have you got? That's a very long and complex and nuanced conversation to have, to do with different formats and priorities and all that sort of stuff. But probably can't squeeze it in between balls at the moment. This is just outside the off stump and defended very correctly by Denley, as if to disprove any notion that England can't produce proper batsmen anymore. Up to mid-off, there's no run.
They can then forget about them for 10 years.
We had a bit of a discussion on this in the last test, though, and you're right, Grubby, we can't really break this down in between balls, but this isn't an England-only problem. This is for me, this is a world cricket problem, and just the nature of test match batting is now it's an art form now, whereas before you could name.
Hazelwood bowls a shorter ball, and Denley is able to duck under it quite comfortably.
You used to be able to name three, let's just go for a number, 3 batsmen per test side, probably more, around the world where you could say without any kind of qualification, they are solid test batsmen. Nowadays, it's 1 on each team. Yeah,
and England have got a sort of well advertised issue with the top 3 at the moment. It's good from an England perspective.
In that they don't have one?
In that they have it's liquid in more ways than one. It's people are in and out of it. They look a bit flaky up top. Burns, from an England perspective, it's good to see him demonstrating a good degree of character in the last couple of games, and even this morning he's looked.
And also some authority at the crease in his defensive strokes and his leaves, and in his attacking strokes. I thought that the shot off Nathan Lyon, the slog sweep, was shot of the morning for me.
He absolutely nailed it as well. And Burns is going to face up to Lyon once again. Lyon's bowled 4 overs, none for 9. Not quite found his range yet. He's bowled a couple of decent balls. This is outside the off stump, a bit too short, and Burns rocks back and cuts it hard to the man at short extra. Just parried, and that allows him to come through for a single.
Wade is livid with himself that he didn't manage to stop that cleanly, and thus gave away the single.
Yeah, but again, good alert batting from the England duo. Through for that single there.
Yeah, I did see in the Ireland test, Denley got himself run out / run out by Joe Root.
By his captain, yes. Denley faces up to Lyon now, flights this one up onto middle and off, and it's turned up towards mid-on, and they come through for a single. There's one slip in place for both these batters and a short leg. And Burns had a little bit of a slice of luck in the previous over when he got a thick inside edge into his pad. Unfortunately for him, it did hit his pad and ballooned out onto the straight down the pitch rather than straight down short leg's throat. Round the wicket comes Lyon. This is played off the outside shoulder of the bat, really, by Burns to backward point, and there's no run.
It's lovely stuff from Lyon, though.
Yeah,
that
nice
little
bit of flight,
just held it back a little bit, and it allowed that to turn and bounce a little bit. Rory Burns was, of course, also dropped on 16, a simple catch put down by Usman Khawaja at gully.
I don't think he saw that, Khawaja. This is good footwork here from Burns. He goes back in his crease. The ball isn't too short, but he beats the man at cover, and it runs all the way to the cover point boundary for one of these.
I was going to say cover could have done better there, but actually it was just always getting away from him.
It was miles away from him. He's putting the dive as if to demonstrate to everyone else that he's giving 100%, but really
Khawaja again.
Zero chance of it. But yeah, I think it didn't look to me like he sort of picked it up in time, and it was into his chest before his hands had time to get there. He's back in his crease again. This ball just on with the arm a bit that time and playing it up to mid-off, and there's no run. 67 for 2.
I actually thought it was almost the opposite. I think he sort of snatched at it. He thought it was coming to him a lot quicker than it actually was. Just his hands were in no position to take the catch.
Well, they weren't, whichever way you look at it, whether he was late or early on it, and it's a bad drop. Really, whatever spin you try and put on it, and talking of spin, Lyon almost gets through Burns' defences there. He just jabs the bat down in time. Didn't really demonstrate any foot movement there, but he does survive. That's 22 overs gone this morning. Pretty poor over rate. I think we're not going to get 30 in the first 2 hours, which, given that the spinners bowled 5 overs already, is a pretty poor showing.
There was a quite lengthy break after Joe Denley was hit on the head.
It was only a couple of minutes, really.
It was long enough they took drinks mid-over.
We have the regulation.
Drinks made over.
The regulation close-up of a cork that's made its way to the playing surface there at Lord's. It's upper-class littering.
Indeed. TV Umpire has shared a tweet with us which says that Alim Dar has equalled Steve Butler's record for most test matches as an umpire.
Congratulations, Alim.
He's been on the elite panel since 2005, Alim Dar. Very, very
Great
experienced.
servant to the game. We've got a change of bowling. It's one of Australia's opening bowlers coming back into the attack. He's bowled 4 overs for 11 runs so far.
Paceman Pat, and his baggy green cap. Early in the morning, just before the warm-up, he has to pull out with a dodgy back.
Pit Rick Carman.
Those 3 spaced out slips. The first one of them is at second slip and a gully. And Denley gets the ball outside the off stump, defends it from the crease, and once again uses a combination of hand and bat to say no.
As in they are physically spaced out, not that they are
not that they've
away
been,
with the fairies.
Not that they've been on the wacky backy, as elderly relatives might call it.
Messi Jez says, forget about his batting position. If you want Root to make more runs, England should just relieve him of the captaincy.
Well, I agree with that, actually. I don't think he's natural captaincy material. And I said it before he was given the captaincy. It was obviously he was going to be given it, but I don't think it's necessarily the right choice. I prefer him to get on with his batting, and someone like Joss Butler has the captaincy. This is just outside the off stump from Cummins, defended into the covers by Denley, and there is no run. It remains 67 for 2.
I said in our Wibble yesterday that, and I think it's interesting that you mentioned it should be Butler. Stokes is the official vice captain, but I think Stokes is an ideal deputy.
Yeah,
I think it's putting too much pressure on Ben Stokes to make him captain, as well as all the other things he's got to do.
You can't imagine Stokes being the actual captain of the side, I don't believe, whereas you can see it in Butler. And although he hasn't captained many sides many times, neither had Joe Root before he got the captaincy. I just think that Butler is a better reader of the game, personally. This is short and easy for Denley to duck under that one through to the keeper.
This is part of a conversation that we had in the last Test match, and one I was just having in the green room. Again, it goes back to that question I always ask: what actually determines a captain? And in light of my plug piece coming on Jason Holder, I think a captain should know when to stand down, and when they know they actually aren't a good captain. Joe Root must know he's not actually a good Test captain. He must know.
There's no way he's going to give it up, though. It would be such a visible demonstration of a lack of confidence in oneself. This is outside the off stump, and Denley quite comfortably jabs it to the right hand side of the third slip, and the left hand of Gully. They dash in vain to try and cut it off, and it rolls into the boundary sponge.
It's Nissan She. It's Nissan She.
Yeah, just a little bit too wide from Cummins and a little bit too short. Not a terrible delivery by any means, but allowing Denley to play with a little bit of freedom there, and he got on top of the bounce quite nicely and just guided it away for those 4, and made 2 fielders run after it.
Okay, let me put this to you. If England lose the Ashes, Root would have overseen a defeat to West Indies and a defeat to Australia in England.
Yeah.
You have to stand down.
But he won't, though, and he won't be forced to either.
He might get one.
Outside the off stump, and Denley thrusts his hands skyward and allows it to pass
Remember that after the Ashes, England will have a new coach.
Oh, good point.
So actually, there may be the new coach may want his new man, whoever that coach ends up being.
Possibly. I just think that overall, I know there have been some quite good kind of picks. I'm thinking last year of Butler, bringing Butler back into the Test fold, and Adil Rashid, and that was largely Ed Smith's doing, and that's proven to be at least a partial success, certainly in terms of Butler. But I just think overall the setup doesn't really allow for thinking that is too far removed from a very set plan, and I would include the captaincy in that. Cummins bowls the ball just on 4th or 5th stump line outside of Denley's off stump. He defends it into the offside. There is no run to the end of the over.
Should mention that the GPL is open today. You can get those
for another 10 minutes or so.
You have just over 15 minutes to get those entries in. Go to GorillaCricket.com, go to the competitions tab and enter, log in or register if you have not already created an account with us, and you can get involved with the GPL. You pay £1 per guess, and what you are guessing is the number of runs that will be scored in today's play. And you have until lunchtime to do so. If you are bang on, no nearest to the bull. If you are bang on, you will win the pot, which currently stands at £84.
84, which means nobody's entered this morning. Messi Jez, I thought we could at least rely on you, sir. The dog's surely going mad.
I know the seasoned GPL players tend to try and get their entries in late.
Yeah, which is the right time. So now is the right time. It's 71 for 2. So if you think, for example, another 200 runs will be scored in the day, 271 will be your guess. But maybe you want to pick 3, 4 or 5 different options to give yourself an additional chance of winning.
Hazelwood has switched ends now, so we're back to the opening pair.
And he's bowling to the left-handed Burns. His first ball is down the arse, and a bit of a wafty attempt at a shot there from Burns, gets nothing on it, and it's collected by Payne.
Yeah, so at the nursery end, Lyon out of the attack, this man into it.
This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood. This is a jingle for Josh Hazelwood.
We've got another jingle for him, isn't it? To the tune of Norwegian Wood.
Yes, but it's old, frankly.
Is it? Well, it happens to us all, Knackle.
It mentions Craig Keyswetter, that's how old it is.
A lovely looking shot from Burns for no runs as he comes forward and caresses it towards the covers, and it's fielded by the man stationed at short extra.
Some news regarding Sam Curran. He's been made available for tonight's T20 Blast game against Sussex.
That's good, I'm going to see that.
And the game against Hampshire on Friday, and the County Championship match against Hampshire starting on the 18th of August. However, he will only play the first 2 days of that game if he is selected in the squad for the third Ashes test.
I don't expect him to play in the T20 tonight. His brother will, but I don't think Sammy will he? Little Sammy Curran?
Might go double Curran.
Hazelwood comes in, bowls a ball across the bows of Burns, angled downwards off the outside edge of the bat and fielded by Khawaja.
Strange Carrot says, I used to open for my old team, Guildford City,
yes,
and had a mental block about batting at 1, so I always batted at 2. Didn't help whatsoever, but I was more comfortable with my lack of ability at 2 than 1.
Yeah, give yourself a little look at it from the non-striker's end.
Yeah, some players, by contrast, prefer to get it out of the way with.
Yep. I didn't mind facing the first ball. That was an opener. Back in the
I
day.
think I'd prefer it that way round.
Yeah, I usually used to try and hit it back over the bowler's head first ball. Didn't always work. Burns has 29, faces up to Hazelwood. Dabs it into the offside, and they come through for a sharp single. They've run pretty well between the wickets, these two, thus far. What else you got there on the odd tweets, Matt?
TV umpire says, Gorilla Cricket, I'm asking Mash St. Paddy, did Chris Gale play his last ODI yesterday? I'm asking on behalf of Jason Holder. The short answer is Chris Gale will retire when Chris Gale wants to retire.
And that's exactly as Chris Gale would say it.
That was a hell of a carry-on to go through if it wasn't his last ODI.
I know. But you never know with him, though, do you?
And he changed his shirt number.
Yep.
He had 301 on the back of his shirt because that's the number of ODIs he's played.
I think it is it, but Chris will want to just prolong the whole drama around it. More importantly, he'll play the T20 World Cup next year.
Yeah.
That makes sense. On a cricketing level as well.
Hazelwood is in to Denley. A straighter ball this time, and Denley's up to the task, defending it up to mid-on, and there's no run. It's 72 for 2.
Anthony Condon, I think this is in reply to when Grubby was talking about Rich littering on the field with the Corks. He says, I would have thought waiting for the rain to stop at Lord's would be a quintessential English experience. I think that's in reply to that anyways.
Is that Robbie Savage in the crowd there at Lord's? Looking
looks like Peter Stringfellow.
He looks a little bit like Gareth Ainsworth,
looking very
the Wycombe Wanderers manager.
Very grey in the beard. I mean, not that I can talk on that front. And long of hair, and no doubt he's getting some sort of hilarious Bantsy chant at him, having been shown on the big screen there at Lord's. Just outside the off stump, this from Hazelwood, and doing quite a bit after it had passed the stumps away to the offside. We see that quite frequently at Lord's. Anyway, that's the end of the over. 24 have elapsed this morning, and England have moved on to 72 for 2.
Mash, what have we got on Crick Tracker on the Facebook?
I thought it was YouTube actually. Not
we got the other ones open in the other tabs, I think.
Oh, sorry. Give me 1 sec. Can I just read these three first? So Dave Wood says, I think Jack Leach would make a great captain, and then Arthur Shire says, second in Messi Jez's proposal. Root is the worst England captain since Botham. Would be great if he had the dignity to Mike Dennis himself, but if not, he should be removed. Moeen Ali has county captaincy experience. You know.
Yeah, he does. Although obviously not in the team this time. I'm sure he'll come back as he has in the past. Moeen too good at cricketing not to. Just in a bit of a slump of form at the moment.
He's taking a little bit of a break.
He's missing a couple of T20s, and then he'll probably play in the county game, won't he? It starts on Sunday, I think it is, around the county championship games. Cummins starts his new over with a short delivery, and Burns sways out of the way. A good carry through to the keeper there, but no run. And hello to everyone who is watching us on Crick Tracker, Facebook Live, YouTube, and all those other channels where you get to see our lovely smiling faces. You're very welcome. Do tell your friends. Apparently we still have this worldwide issue with TuneIn, so if you are watching us on one of those platforms, perhaps let everyone know who might otherwise be watching us on TuneIn that they can hear us and have the dubious bonus of seeing our visages as well. Cummins over the wicket to the left-handed Burns. This is too far down the leg side. He's in danger of getting a bit of a strangle down the leg side there, Burns, playing quite airily at it. A ball that was very wide down the leg side.
In the manner of another left-handed England opener. Alistair Cook went through that weird period of constantly being out. Actually, we've now, presumably in the last few minutes, had loads of GPL entries, which is great.
Oh, have we?
Yeah.
How many? Can you tell?
1, 2, 3.
I'm thinking that Messi Jez has
8, 9,
authored
10,
at least
12.
5 of them.
There's 14.
14, get in. So I make that. The pot is now 98 quid. £2 more in the next 2 minutes, and it will be a round 100 smackaroonies. Ball across Burns' bows, which he deigns not to play at.
And yes, 5 entries from Messi Jez.
There we are. Spot on.
5 entries from Nestle Boy.
Nestlers.
3 entries from Arthurshire. And 1 from Yole. So we've got Arthurshire on 234, Nestle Boy on 238, 245, 251, 253, 261, Messi Jez on 283, Arthurshire on 284, Yole on 291, Messi Jez on 293, 303, 313, Arthurshire 314, and Messi Jez on 323.
Those are the only players who have a chance of winning. You've got to be in it to win it, haven't you? Got to buy a ticket to win the lottery. Cummins over the wicket to Burns again. This time he is genuinely beaten on the outside edge, but it bounces once before it gets to Payne, so a little bit of a suggestion of some variable bounce in this pitch at this early stage in the match. Reduced to a 4-day game, of course, because yesterday was washed out completely. And England will be fairly satisfied with their last hour and a bit's work, these two rebuilding the innings from the rather precarious 26 for 2. The score is now 72 for 2, and I think most England fans would have taken 70 odd for 2 at lunch at the start of play. Burns on 30 faces up to Cummins again, who's over the wicket to him, and again he's beaten on the outside edge. This one much better carry through to the keeper, so once more a bit of a suggestion of some variable bounce. That was a little fuller in length, and it zipped off the pitch and taken above his shoulder there by Tim Payne. So a good probing over from Cummins, really testing England's opener here. And Australia will have identified Burns in this last match and a bit now as someone they really have to prize out. He's ridden his luck, as Burns. I think in that excellent century he scored, he played and missed something like 37 or 38 times in that innings, so making the most of the luck that he had and really toughing it out. This one is across him, and another leave, and it remains 72 for 2. And made an over there.
Sometimes you have to tough it out.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
To convince yourself that you are any good. And he's today, I think, okay, he just got beaten there, but he's looked really compact today.
Yeah,
played the ball on its merits.
The ball is going to move when you've got a bowler of Cummins' quality on in recent English conditions with this heavy lacquered Duke ball. The ball's going to move. You're going to get beaten sometimes. It's going to happen.
That's right. You've got to have the mental toughness to understand that you're going to play and miss sometimes, and just reset and get on with it.
Playing and missing is a good thing, in a sense. I mean, Steve Smith got beaten a lot in his first innings 100 in particular.
Yeah, it was a terrible 100. Denley on 27 faces up to Hazelwood. Ball just on off stump. He's coming forward to this one and defending it into the onside, and there is no run.
I think there might be a bit more bounce from the nursery end than there is from the pavilion end. Hazelwood's getting a little bit of bounce off the surface, and Lyon was too.
Yeah.
Wonder if we might see Cummins bowling from the nursery end after lunch, because we've only seen him from the pavilion end thus far.
I think Hazelwood, being quite a tall man, gets a fair bit of natural or bounce naturally, his natural length being just slightly back of a length. Cummins can obviously bend his back and get the ball through as well. And perhaps the pitch is just showing a little bit of variability. So it is a challenge. That looks a very good LBW appeal. Chris Gaffney says no. A fuller ball. He shoved that one.
Was there an inside edge?
Well into the batsman's half that time, perhaps surprising him with that fuller length. The LBW appeal was turned down by Chris Gaffney. We're wondering whether there was an inside edge. It looked a pretty good shout to me. Hazelwood was 3/4 of the way down the pitch before he even turned round to look at the umpire, a la Stuart Broad. They've allowed the review clock to run down though, so they won't be reviewing this. It was a bit of a wobble seam. That nagging line did jag a little bit. There is no inside edge. It looks a very good shout to me. I
thought it was plumb. I'm surprised they
Yeah, I'm very surprised they didn't review that. They must have thought there was an inside edge.
Well, you were talking about Burns riding his luck. Of course, there was that non-review for Rory Burns when he was on 21.
Yeah. One of the many mistakes made by the umpire, and by the fielding team, I suppose, in the last Test match. So Denley survives. He has 27. This ball's just outside the off stump. He plays it from the crease, a little jabbily down to gully where it's fielded, and the score remains 72 for 2, where it's been for a while. We're seeing a replay of that LBW decision. It looks in.
Well, it's going over the
missing.
top.
Would you believe it? It's amazing, isn't it? We've seen quite a few of these. That's a great decision on reflection by Chris Gaffney, the man who had to overturn so many of those decisions.
And from Payne to talk Hazelwood out of reviewing it.
Yeah. Fair play. Props to, because they'd have been reviewless if they had reviewed that.
Two good decisions from Chris Gaffney, the Nathan Lyon LBW shout that turned out to be turning past leg.
Was just going over the top, that latest LBW appeal. But this is driven up very airily by Denley, perhaps still thinking about the narrow escape he had earlier in the over, and it was a ball outside the off stump. Possibly there for the drive, but maybe so close to lunch he's better off leaving those alone.
There's a fantastic comment on Crick Tracker that I must
Go
read.
on, go for it.
So I think we'll wait for this next walk, because it's quite long, but Grubby will love it.
Oh, will I? Oh. I'll be the judge of that.
In the meantime, we've had 3 more GPL entries. Etiax coming on 242, 247 and 257.
Thank you, Adam, and that takes it over the magic £100 mark. Can you believe it? Over £100 to be won on the GPL, and if there's still 90 seconds left, you could only add to that by making your own guess. This is defended up towards mid-off by Denley. There is no run. And we've got 1 ball left in this over. We've got time.
Here we go. So Mohammed
go on.
Majon on
Hello, Mohammed.
Crick Tracker says, most obviously this is a very interesting game because it's between the standard team England and Australia. Lovely teams, and there's interesting commentary between these 3, especially the middle person. I don't know his name. Lovable voice, and such a sweet voice. His physical appearance is also good.
You got a fan.
Thank you, Mohammed. And you can join a fan club of 1. Actually, my mum might be in there as well. She's president of it. This is defended by Denley to extra cover. There is no run. That does complete the 26th over. It's another maiden, and England remain on 72 for 2, where I'm sure they'll be delighted to be at the end of the next over, which will be the last before lunch, as it's only about 3 minutes
to the GPL. Will they bring Lyon back on for 1 more over?
Does the GPL not close slightly before lunch?
No, it closes at lunch at 1 p.m.
That GPL guillotine remains tantalisingly poised above your gambling necks.
Presumably your wife is in your fan club.
Oh yeah, I suppose she is, but she's at work today, so she wouldn't like to be reminded that she's grudgingly in my fan club. There are half a dozen champagne corks that we're seeing in close up. A beautiful sight there on the green sward of the playing field there at Lord's.
Just some tweets before the last over. Woy says, good afternoon, the doomed quotient is high. X-Zolins1 at X-Zolins1 says, I'll go the high road. Congratulations on the World Cup win. It was an amazing game and found myself in the most unusual situation.
Cummins bowls another ball down the leg side. Burns half-heartedly tries to turn it into the leg side. It just hits him on the pad and loops up. Stops dead in front of him. There is no run.
Unusual situation of sort of supporting England.
Yeah, sorry to put you in that odd position.
It was a day that did weird things to many people.
Yes. Dallas Nash says Amler stood down as South Africa's captain as he knew he wasn't a natural captain despite being an extraordinary cricketer.
Correct.
A slightly different character, though, I'd say, from Joe Root. I can't see Root. I think Root has got, although he comes across as quite boyish and chirpy, I think he's got steel within him, and I can't see him stepping aside as captain. This is outside the off stump, and it's fullish. Burns drives at it. It winds up at short extra cover, and there is no run.
Also, he wanted to be captain. Hashim Amla never wanted to be captain.
Good point.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And basically, he was doing it under protest because AB de Villiers didn't. Well, but he gave it back to AB de Villiers, basically.
Yeah.
AB de Villiers does what AB de Villiers does.
Yes.
A lot of people have said tune-in's back, so good for us.
Welcome back, tune-in.
Dave Wood says, I enjoyed batting at 11 because I never left the field alone.
A lovely sentiment there, Dave Wood, given half a chance, which I now have to say every time I read his name out. Burns is 30 not out. He gets a straight ball from Cummins from over the wicket, which he defends up to mid-on, and there is no run.
But if you open, you never have to enter the field alone.
True.
Yeah, but as Jason Roy found out, you can leave it a very lonely man.
Derek Willis says, I suspect Gale would like to have custom jerseys and ceremonies for every match he plays and wishes he had started this sooner. I concur.
Yeah.
He does have a custom shirt number. He wears the 333 in franchise T20 cricket, but I don't think he was allowed that for the World Cup.
Burns facing up once again to come into, remains over the wicket to him, throws this one up outside the off stump. It's too full though, and last over before lunch or not, that's there for the drive, and Burns steers it through cover point for one of these. Nicely forward to that and over the top of it, and although he played that slightly away from his body, it was all along the carpet.
Yeah, smartly done to play that a little bit squarer, opening the hands, opening the face a little bit, because it did swing a little bit away from Rory Burns. Cummins usually has been swinging the ball away from the right-hander into the left-hander. That one went the other way, but it was very nicely played by Burns. That brought up the 50 partnership for England's third wicket.
76 for 2 is the England score as Cummins comes in again, and this one beats him. Good comeback. Beats his defensive prod, and it's through to the keeper.
But he just played the
across.
original line. He basically played inside the line of that. He didn't follow it with his hands.
That's right, yeah. Bat close enough to his pad and his body, and not chasing the ball, crucially, as you say, outside off stump there. So it's almost a good play in this, and that's the sort of thing we saw on dozens of occasions during his Edgbaston vigil.
Hendo was talking yesterday about an innings Steve Smith played in Pune where the ball was turning square, and that's what Smith was doing. He was playing the original line of the ball, and then if it turns so much that it beats the bat, so be it.
So be it, yeah. Cummins again, a shorter ball this time, defended from the crease. He uses his bat to say no. That completes the 27th over, and that is the last one before lunch. 76 for 2 will be the lunch score. Precisely what my friend Baz wanted, weirdly enough. And maybe he should have entered the GPL, but he hasn't. Mash, over to you.
Yes, so last few tweets before we break for lunch. Slungo says, does anyone else look at Denley and think about Thomas Aquinas? I thought not. James Humberston says, I like facing the first ball because then I'm top of the order. I also like it when that first ball is outside off and I can watch it go by.
Lovely.
Not as much as when it's a full toss on my legs though. TV umpire says the long and torturous road to the next World Cup starts for Scotland today. Surprisingly, they're 113 for 6 against Oman. And Anna Forsyth is just talking about how she's listening to GC before mooching off to IKEA. She's mooching off IKEA Wi-Fi. And last tweet before we wrap up for lunch. Mark Zip says he's got through to airside. Now I'm being treated to both sides of a phone conversation. Some lady has her speakerphone on, and we are hearing all the details of her stepdaughter's wedding. Lots of no kiddings and R's. Has she no idea she's on speaker? People today.
And on that note of airside telephonic hell, we go to lunch with England 76 for 2. Jason Roy went for a third ball duck in the second over, playing at a ball he didn't need to be playing at, caught behind by Tim Payne off the bowling of Josh Hazlewood. Joe Root was done by one that nipped back up the hill from Josh Hazlewood like Glenn McGrath used to do from the nursery end. Kept a little bit low, Root not really forward. He went for 14 off 20, but since then ship steadying has been done by Rory Burns, who's 34 off 90. Joe Denley is 27 off 49. There were how many extras? Let me just find that for you. There were just the one extra, the leg by, which came in fact off Joe Denley's head. So England go to lunch at 76 for 2. Both wickets taken by Josh Hazlewood, who's taken 2 for 14. None for 19 for Pat Cummins. None for 27 in 5 overs for Peter Siddle, who was a little bit expensive. And Nathan Lyon has bowled 5 overs. None for 15. Lord beautifully arrayed in red to honour Ruth Strauss, the sadly late wife of Andrew Strauss, who a lot of support for the Ruth Strauss Foundation, which Andrew Strauss has set up. Red is the colour that has been chosen to commemorate that, and a fine job Lords is doing of commemorating it, as indeed is Grubby. So we go to lunch with England 76 for 2. We'll take you back for the luncheon break to just a few weeks ago, the start of the long journey, the first game of the 2019 World Cup between England and South Africa.
test match insurgency. First they tried to silence us, but we would not be silenced. Threatened us with lies, so we threatened them with violence. Che Guevara, Sankara, Joseph Stalin, Douglas Jardine, Robespierre.